The recently facelifted BMW X3 versus the Audi Q5, also updated and now coming as Sportback variant as well. The Porsche Macan, facelifted too, and the Mercedes GLC. These are the Germans against the challengers of the Germans, the Volvo XC60 and the Genesis GV70. What's the best premium midsize SUV? Let's find out more about the unique features.
The most important and most sold BMW model worldwide is the BMW X3 today in the facelifted version here on Autogefühl with Thomas. And let's take a look here in the front. The front double kidney here is now a little bit higher, even more massive vertical fins. In the X4, by the way, you have a dot structure on the inside, very interesting. And new matte colors. 3 matte colors are available in blue, white, or here in, well, you can say black, but they actually call it frozen deep gray metallic. So is it black or gray? Tell me in the comments. Maybe it's also a thing, male and female. Women always see different colors, where I was like, this is black, yellow, blue, and that's it, Yeah, you know about this. Then lower part, either it comes standard now as the off-roadish look, which was formerly the X-Line. Then you have a gray accentuation lower part, or here this is the M Sport model. So you have it in the high gloss black, depending on what you like best. The headlamps are now flatter here from the integration. LED is standard. Then the adaptive matrix LED, and this is the option. These are the BMW laser lights with the blue accentuations, even more high beam range, up to 650 meters. Yeah, unless you're in the US, that's not allowed yet to have the full extension. Yeah, strange rules indeed. But definitely a very strong look here already in the front. We have here today, by the way, 20-inch wheels mounted, really massive. You can see them right here. These are, of course, an option. And once again, the M Sport model, you can also see the badge right here. Length remains at 4.71 meters or 185 inches, mid-size SUV. And this is also what makes it so successful, because it has kind of the right size, not too big, but also not too small. In the M Sport model, we also have the dark frames here around the windows. I more prefer chrome, but this one, of course, together with the paint, the most sinister look ever for an X3 we had so far, definitely. Wheel size, by the way, range between 18 and 21 inch. Said earlier, these are the 20-inch ones. Well, suspension, you can also get an adaptive suspension. This is also a very interesting feature, and they're doing a very good job, so you do not miss an air suspension or something. And new feature actually in the facelift, the tail lamps already beginning here in the side profile. And here we are, new tail lamp style, very extravagant, so you really see directly this is the facelifted version. And a very clean design overall. They reduced some elements as well. Here the M Sport has these additional sporty elements, however. And then in the lower part, here with the X3, they still use real exhaust tips. So no job for the Autogefühl fake exhaust police today. So it has kind of the same form than, just like the fake tips. But here in these dissolves from that real exhaust. Yeah, quite interesting. By the way, advantages, disadvantages. On the one hand, the fake tips are sometimes a little bit pathetic. On the other hand, in terms of very small crashes from the rear, of course, they protect the real exhaust tips a little bit better. But what about you? Do you think the real thing is better, or wouldn't you mind? Turning indicators in the front, it replaces here one part of the signature, very beautifully done. And in the rear, also very cool idea. So these new tail lamps signature here houses then the indicator in the middle. This here with a normal gray metallic color. Here you can see how the standard line now looks like. So the standard model now has this so far X-Line design here with the contrasting matte gray. This looks really cool. So a more off-roadish look for most X3 there will be on the market now. And this also accounts here for the side. Here the side bumper also with the contrasting matte silver style, and also then here for the rear. So once again, this is the base model now. In this case, the plug-in hybrid, but for all base X3 here, then this contrasting lower part. I think that looks way better than the M Sport model in this, high gloss black trim. This just adds so much cool off-roadishness to it, doesn't it? And this is the top sports model, the X3M Competition. New color here for that one as well. This is not the matte color, but here, clearly the Thomas Blue color here on Autogefühl. This would be my absolute favorite color. They are just restricted to the M vehicles. Yeah, so I probably would have to get an M for that then, right? This is the Marina Bay Blue Metallic. As for engines, you have a set of engines here in the BMW X3. So you have 2-liter 4-cylinders and 3-liter 6-cylinders, both on petrol and diesel side. You have a petrol plug-in hybrid, and then also the full electric iX3. So basically a very wide range of different powertrains. Today, 6-cylinder time. Trunk space here, electric hatch. There we go. And this is here the cover without rails at the side, but it's actually quite okay. And then this is the maximum size, and if I also fold the seats, of 1,560 liters overall. And this counts for all models except the plug-in hybrid, which has a step in there. Here, sample luggage easily fits also in upright. Then the width is actually even a little bit longer than 1 meter or 40 inches. So that's a very good result. See here, even a little bit more. This is 1 meter or 40 inches, even here. And the normal length here to the seats is 93 centimeters or 36 inches below here. You can see some more space. So, and then we can also fold this other part right here, and see here it folds flat very easily. Car keys, limit light, and also with the colors here with the M Sport package, door closing sound. Okay, but not super exceptionally or something. Then soft touch here and also softer here, also for your elbows. This is actually reasonably soft. Good build quality also for the door handles and so on. And I really like this stamped in X here. Yeah, optional Harman Kardon sound system. Can recommend it for music lovers indeed. Then the M Sport package also in this case today on the interior, also here, for example. Heated steering wheel button is always there. And I like that we still have manual steering wheel buttons, the real deal, not the hashtag capacitive curse or something. Then you can see here, these are the animal skin seats, but they are big news for the seats because now in this facelift you have 4 different new choices of sensatec seats, perforated sensatec. They look almost the same. I will soon show you that. We have a car here today also which has this, and they are available then in black, beige, brown and red. Just the UK market does not get the beige seats. Probably BMW is afraid that you spill your tea on it, you know. And in Germany we get the beige sensatec seats because German beer has the same color anyway, you know. So 1.86 or 6'1", still enough headroom left here. Comfortable seating position and steering wheel in and out, very smooth process, and you can easily find a good seating position already. This king of the road experience, although it's not the biggest full-size SUV, but you already have a grown-up SUV feeling. Interior overview with a clean design and still a good user interface because you have manual climate unit right here, or just deactivated, there we go. So manual climate unit, easy to control while driving, also with the volume knob, but also volume controls at the steering wheel, manual shifting pedals and so on. This is what we still need. You have a combination, and because you also have digital gauges, 5-inch on the left side and 10.25 on the right side would be standard. The BMW Live Cockpit is now standard, so like this, and this then is the bigger screen, optional 12.3. If you go for BMW Live Cockpit Professional option, you get 12.3 inch here and also 12.3 inch digital instruments. So this full setup then right here. Zoom out deals to each of the screens. Then in the lower part, you have another nice X3 stamping in here. Then you open this one here. This is not an, this one here is not an inductive charging pad, by the way. Here USB-A charger, and then you have the cup holders. They are adaptive, and here the classic shifting lever. And now what's interesting, sport comfort mode, but there's not this adaptive mode anymore because hardly anyone used it. This ball now goes for the hill descent control and this auto hold. So the auto hold function to deactivate it or activate it is now instead of the adaptive driving mode. Still this classic knob here also to change something in the digital infotainment screen while driving, and you can also write something on that when you want to put in an address. And here, very well attached with more space underneath. But the X3 does offer an option of an inductive charging pad. We have another vehicle where it has this function here. So there, oh, and Schmoozy is recharging. So the only thing is our vehicle today did not have this option because of the supply chain problems for the semiconductors. So this is also a thing where it comes apparent for the car industry. But we could still find a vehicle with an inductive charging pad. BMW operating system 7, and I really like this, the best system that BMW has. Yes, it's better than the new OS8 indeed. Really fast, very responsive, very clear to read, and you can easily also switch then to the Apple CarPlay here, for example. Goes all the way over the screen, nice integration, and this Harman Kardon sound system has a very nice clear sound, so I can just recommend it indeed. And voice input, either Hello BMW or here this button. Set temperature to 22 degrees.
All right.
There we go.
set the temperature in the driver's area on
that
22
works.
degrees Celsius.
The only thing is you have to have the engine started for that. You cannot do that while stationary, but then again, while stationary, it's also easy to do that. But this is one example for the voice control. Digital instruments, very clear to read. I really like them. They're not that adjustable. What you can do is here assisted systems view, or here change the map view. That's what you know is more useful while driving probably. And when Michelle revs it now, yeah, here we go. This view does not show the rev counter here. So, but when we, for example, go to sports mode, and then you can see this does show this rev counter. So it adapts then indeed according to the driving mode. Here this is the eco mode, you cannot see it. So yeah, definitely sport mode is the coolest, right? Head-up display, speed, loud speed, and also some arrows, or even an intersection when you're approaching it. And yeah, you can, for example, also change the height. This looks so weird, right?
Looks like a 90s game.
Yeah, Michelle said it looks like a 90s game. Or what about the rotation? Yeah, Space Invaders or something. Yeah, really funny. Ambient lighting, you can pick some different colors. Of course, I would always go for Thomas Blue, but you can also get different ones right there. You can see it here in the rear, for example, but it's also in the front. Rear seating area, let's check out that. By the way, at the inside of the doors, you also have a soft touch here on the top part. That's good. And also, again, this X stamping here. And you see here with 4 tall adults, it's no problem, directly fits. So this, when I have the driver's seat to my position and 1m86 or 6'1" here in the rear, also no problem as for the headroom. There is a substantial middle tunnel because it's a rear-wheel driven platform, and of course most have all-wheel drive. So you can see here 2 USB-C chargers here now in the middle part, and sitting in the middle part is actually quite okay. That works as well. Of course, the outside seats are more comfortable and also with ISOFIX. And here you can use this one as a ski hatch, or pull this one down and then have adaptive cup holders in the rear. Oh, and this one here adjusts the back part of the rear bench, so you more can have this sleeping position or more upright style depending on what your mood is. And here in this vehicle we do have the new standard sensatec seats. First of all, the sport seat is now standard, so this seat form is now the standard seat worldwide for the X3. And also here then you can see the perforated sensatec. So this is a high-grade leatherette. It's animal-free, but no one could tell. It's very soft. Perforation for more breathable functions while driving, especially in summertime, for example. And really high quality. Look at that, how soft it is. And yeah, the whole surface is really perfect. To me, it makes an even better impression than the animal skin surface. Really cool. And again, standard for all the X3 and even X4 models. And available black, beige, brown like it is here, or in red. And that's very cool. Here the sensatec seats even perforated in the rear, so you get the very same quality for the rear seats than for the front seats, because quite often you see it in vehicles that, for example, the rear seats have the cheaper materials or something, or then are not perforated when the front is perforated. And here actually the very same, both front and rear. And we also have this vehicle here equipped with the panoramic roof. This is an option, so it has a shade actually, not powered fully at the moment, so it has a shade, and also you can open it completely. Welcome here. Woo! All-wheel drive acceleration, rear bias, and yeah, it's a very good balanced feeling you have here already when accelerating out. So X3 and X4 also in this facelift remain this rear bias from that all-wheel drive. So most models of course come with all-wheel drive, and in the sport mode they give you some extra punch. You also hear that the RPMs are a little bit higher than you usually have a gear lower than in this sporty mode. And we can also show you an acceleration here with the 6-cylinder diesel we have in our test today. This is here from 30 kilometers an hour to 100. That's it. So really powerful, very nice, and at the same time you can go back to the comfort mode. Then the gears are shifted up a little bit, just more, you know, subtle feeling overall. About the diesel discussion in general, you know, they are going back in the registrations. However, the BMW 3-liter 6-cylinder diesel is to me the best diesel engine there is on the market. So if diesel is still a thing for you, this one would be the one to go for, because it is very powerful, has actually a nice sound, and even has very good fuel economy. And there is a tractor from the front, but why is that guy not overtaking? Ah, there we go. Yeah, that's of course good here to have power when overtaking. Yeah, it's really nice. So just on the whole driving characteristic, this 3-liter 6-cylinder diesel by BMW is very, very good indeed. By the way, sport mode here from the steering, you have quite good feeling of that. In the comfort mode then, it's a little bit lighter. So here in this area here is more for running straight. And then you get a little bit more feeling to the outsides each. But the whole vehicle is very, very well balanced. We also have one of the best suspensions there is on the market. So in the bigger BMW models, the adaptive suspension is to me one of the best suspensions there is. It does not make you miss an air suspension. The suspension logic here for the X3 is base suspension, fixed sport suspension, you can have that for the sport models, or then the adaptive suspension. And then if you have a sport model, it has a sporty touch then each. But no, I want traffic information. Yeah, this rather was distracting than giving me some good information. I usually have them deactivated actually. So the adaptive suspension here in a normal mode, very good balance of comfort and sportiness. And when you go for the sport mode, yeah, the only thing that's kind of distracting to pick it in the middle console. So in the sporty mode, you have a little bit more feedback then from a suspension. That's good. For example, also for some sporty maneuvers here on the motorway. You can also shift down yourself here, for example, and then you also have a quicker acceleration from that. So using these shifting pedals, also a lot of fun. Here now on the motorway, let's test the high-speed features. It's always good to check the noise insulation, for example. Here we go, and we are already at 140 kilometers an hour. Well, we can go a little bit faster here today. So that's a good thing always when we're in Germany here on these motorways. And recently it was agreed that the new government in Germany will not put the absolute speed limit. So yeah, all racers are saying like, yes! I always see it like, split. It's for our tests, it's great, and I'd like to drive very fast myself. But for a whole society, it can also be clever to limit the speed. So I think it's not black and white only, So here now at 150 kilometers an hour. So yeah, that's about. Damn, I need to show this. There's this double speed option for BMW, right? So I don't have to calculate kilometers to miles per hour. This is also a thing, by the way, here while driving. So you can do something in the infotainment system. Of course, better to set the cruise control. Here, instrument cluster, and then converted speed. There we go. 140 kilometers an hour, yeah, about 90 miles an hour. Thank you, BMW. Because you can also not see it on the camera, because that's the only thing with the BMW reviews. Our camera always, the steering wheel is always blocking the speed view because the speed is here on the left side. Only the true M models have the speed on the very middle part when you go into this M mode. That's the thing, So we have to tell you the speed then. And yeah, my point was, I can control something of the infotainment system while driving in a way that I don't have to do this, but really can use this knob in the lower part, and I still like to have this one here as an option that we can use that one. So that's also my part in the interior, or my point in the interiors. My point in the interior part was that this vehicle here offers a very good user interface because it mixes modern elements like the OS7 system with hard buttons we can still use, and that's to me so much better than some of the all-new vehicles we see, which capacitive curves only, capacitive buttons here, only touchscreen stuff there, and so on and so on. One more time, sport mode, 120 kilometers an hour to 200 kilometers an hour. Still it's going. And here we go, 200 kilometers an hour, 125 miles an hour. And there you can see really good from noise insulation. It's not too loud, sound deadening is really well done. Such a high ride quality from the X3, and the suspension does a great job once again. Wow. Yeah, Michel is also taking off his headphones and saying like, wow, that's not too loud in here. I mean, it's really high speed and we are in an SUV. So very impressive what they do here with sound deadening. And when you go for normal motorway speeds, like now going back to 120 kilometers an hour, that's 75 miles an hour. Here setting the cruise control, great performance. This is something you can sustain for hours actually. Then this is also equipped here with the most elaborated assistance system. So you can set it cruise control, and also it's the lane keeping assistant. If I provoke it a little bit, it's first the blind spot monitor because the car is coming from behind, but I'm not sure if any camera can pick it up. So it's a yellow triangle in the side mirror. So here if I provoke the vehicle to run off-road a little bit here, and then you can see here it counter steers, keeps me in the lane. Also very well done. So top notch as for the assistance systems. And the thing is, they are also very reliable. And sometimes people are also thinking, you know, what about Tesla? They have the camera-based systems and they have so much data and so on. But I can clearly say the BMW assistance systems, to me, probably are the best on the market at the moment because they're most reliable. I never had a situation where it's like, this was a false negative or was a false positive. Whereas, for example, with the Tesla autopilot, it's so many times that the car was braking, but it was not supposed to be braking or something like these, you know. So, yeah, that's a very interesting thing to know for sure. So really feeling at home here on the motorway. The difference, by the way, here, the animal skin seat to me feels stiffer than the new Sensatec high-grade leatherette seat. So definitely stick with the base seats and not go for this ones we have here at the moment. Showed it to you earlier. Yeah, and they also do not have the perforation. The perforation also adds more comfort, definitely, while driving. So once again, we know why the X3 is the most sold BMW model, because it just has the best balance, you know. You have upright seating position, you have good comfort, you have substantial size on the interior, but then again, not the biggest size on the exterior. The X1, of course, would be more practical and better as for the price performance. Yes, that's true, because it does not offer the 6-cylinder engines, therefore has a shorter hood and has shorter, you know, road impact. But then again, that's 6-cylinder though, right? And that's, you know, the case then also where it's fun even if you drive it as the diesel.
Triple news with the Audi Q5, recently facelifted, available as the Sportback SUV coupe shape and also as a new updated plug-in hybrid. Let's find out more about that. Let's go. This is Autogefühl with Thomas. Please subscribe if you haven't done so far, and if you have already, you're very cool. Here in the front of the Q5 with the facelift, wider front grille, a sporty look even for the base versions. And here the matrix LED are an option, then you have more high beam feature, and of course very cool also as for the cascading turning indicators, both in the front and in the rear.
Well, next to that you have this special feature here, the rear OLED. So it's an option, there we go. Seen here this proximity sensor. This is a beginning of that the cars communicate with the outside world with their lights, saying like, hey, you're coming too close to me, buddy.
And here you can also see the difference in design when you have this Sportback version, that you have this falling effect here. And yeah, I think it's just a design preference. Which one would you prefer actually? From the rear maybe? I think the normal Q5 even looks more consistent in design, doesn't it? Lower part, that's really cool. No fake exhaust tip whatsoever. Finally, they got rid of that.
The length at 4.69 meters or 185 inches. Wheels-wise, the Sportback version starts with 18-inch wheels and up to 21-inch. These here are 20-inch wheels. The color, very interesting, is called District Green. Is it more like in my hood yaw or District 5 or District 7? Where are you from? Well, it's unusual, let's take it that way. Here the wheel arches, they have changed that also with the facelift. In this case you have this kind of SUV crossover look, but you have it in a painted style. Then there are different stylings available indeed. This one of course looks a little bit more sophisticated, and you get both the SUV and the SUV coupe shape if you want to take that. This is called the Sportback now, and you can see it right here with that falling roofline. It appears smaller in that way. Really like this car key. It's slim and light and high class, better than the all new ones we've seen from some manufacturers. So this is one of my favorite ones, pretty cool. Door closing sound, very solid. But not so solid is what we see here. Still some hard pack here at the inside of the doors. In this price segment, not acceptable. Then here, this is actually nice with nice clicking sounds here, and these, you know, these polished tops. This is good build quality. Here we have the S-Line interior, not S-Line exterior, but S-Line interior. Then we also have the S-Line steering wheel here in a sporty style, perforation at the sides. And even here the top dashboard is not too soft. Actually, it's almost hard pack entirely. And here then the S-Line seats, pretty cool. Here also with fabric inserts. They are not available in the US market though. In Germany or in general Europe you can get here fabric or also microfiber, but never without animal share. So not a step in the right direction yet. Also with the facelift, no news in that respect. But the seating comfort in general here is actually quite decent. Here we have the manual control of the steering wheel that goes very wide in and out, and with 1:86 or 6'1", there's plenty of headroom left. Interior overview, very clean, stylish here with this sportier quattro logo and brushed aluminum. And yes, my favorite AC unit, and I really love it. It's so easy to control it while driving, and listen to that. Click, click, click from the Audi Sound Laboratory. It's wonderful. And also here, this has some capacitive function. It's interesting, right? So there are actually buttons which have some capacitive function, but still there are, real buttons. Really, really cool. I see it is fading away, but I hope it will stay some more time. Then here in the lower part, the drive select, this is not that easy to reach. And here you can switch between the EV mode and the EV hybrid mode. Soon more details while driving about that. Okay guys, one more time. One more time. Then usually with the facelift you get now this touchscreen which is attached, 10-inch. It's very easy to access and to control actually. And here that touchscreen, to me it is actually something better because it makes the car faster to control. Here in the driving modes we can take a look at that. Here Audi Drive Select. The air suspension which is put in this vehicle as an option. Here you can raise it then, for example. Also here for off-road moding, or it will go down here in the dynamic mode. And then with this EV Drive Select you also have here it predominantly goes in the EV mode with the plug-in hybrid, and here it will just decide it on its own. And you can also have this battery hold or battery charge function. It's not efficient, but it might be needed if you have a city with electric zone only or something. Then you can of course use Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. It's a nice integration like this, and the sound system here actually is pretty cool. Yeah, really like that sound. On the left side here you have the digital instruments. These are an option. You start with analog gauges, and then here 12.3-inch Audi Virtual Cockpit. The digital instruments, the Audi Virtual Cockpit, I really just love it, I have to say. It's so crystal clear, and to switch around the views is actually super easy. Of course, you can also have the GPS in the middle, all here full screen. Lovely also that we still have a three-dimensional real logo here at the steering wheel. In the Q4 e-tron, it is gone actually, and I don't like it. Prefer it just when it's like the real thing. Yeah, I always prefer it in the real thing. Don't you as well? And here as well, here. Yes, there's a normal volume jog here at the steering wheel. It's so easy to control it while driving as well. Lower area with a USB-A charger, then this is, when you have a smoker's package, but otherwise it's just, empty. Another passenger volume control. Here you can put the key, for example, and then this is an inductive charging pad. I can, however, just put my smartphone in there also when I use the cable, which then has USB-C charging here. In the rear you also have these nice fabric covers here, these with this setup here, so that's cool. Knee room wise, it does fit for 4 tall adults, but not that large. Headroom wise, also okay with 1.86 or 6'1", and it's actually fairly comfortable here. Kind of like a single seat setup, but it's really good. Big middle tunnel with some charging possibilities, and here sitting in the middle part is possible, not the best, also not the worst. And what you can also do is changing the angle here of the seat like this. You can have it like this upright or a little bit more to the back, and then you could also fold it from here. So it's actually quite interesting that here in the rear there's hardly any compromise here with the Sportback version. Here with 510 liters you lose about 40 liters in comparison to the SUV, because it's just measured here below the cover. Then the full loading potential is even a little bit less than in the SUV style. 95 centimeters or 37 inches in the length, and here the width is even over a meter or 40 inches, so that's good. And you still got enough height even here, just about 45 centimeters or yeah, some 18 inches, so that's actually fine. You don't lose too much. You can see here the cabin trolley also fits in easily in a vertical way. And here you can also fold the seats, and yeah, they fold quite well. If you want to have them fold completely, you need to push them with your luggage. And here, there's like a charging cable box, which is like massive. Yeah, and you cannot fold up anything here. So the question is if you want to keep that. That's one difference here, by the way, with the PHEV. You know, so this area cannot be tilted up. 2-liter 4-cylinder or 3-liter 6-cylinder, both petrol and diesels are available. The SQ5 as petrol version only available in the States, for example. In Europe, you get the SQ5 diesel. But now there's an alternative, the plug-in hybrids. Why is that? Well, they're based on the 2-liter 4-cylinder. And the interesting thing is they're very quick, because here the 50 TFSI-E, and then there's the 55 TFSI-E. They're really powerful, 300 or 367 horsepower system output, so around 5 seconds or 6 seconds in the acceleration figure each. That's of course pretty massive. That actually means that the 55 TFSI-E is even quicker than the SQ5 petrol. Wow. But of course it won't sound like that. And maximum charging speed is 7.2 kilowatt of that 14 kilowatt hour battery. So in an ideal case, just about 2 hours to charge that battery, but of course it's not too big though. Welcome to Thomas's driving lounge here with the Audi Q5 Sportback PHEV from 50 kilometers an hour. Acceleration, let's go. $150 and 180. That's enough for now. So pretty quick. And of course here with the electric power, it is even quicker in the very first moments. That's the thing. And this one here around 6 seconds in the acceleration figure, and the other PHEV version, which just has a little bit more horsepower tune, just over 5 seconds, and that's even faster than the V6 SQ5. So really astonishing here, the plug-in hybrid power, although it comes from the 2-liter 4-cylinder. But the thing is really not in these later stages, when you're here at higher speeds, more in the earlier stages. We're in the sport mode here, using electric power and combustion at the same time. The air suspension now is really, really stiff. So it really stiffens up when you are in that sport mode. Then it doesn't feel like an air suspension at all, but we have here a lot of great stability. Noise insulation is on a good level, not the best, but definitely not bad or something. So definitely a good level. There's an X-ray here for about 150 euros. That there's also special insulation here at the side windows here in the front. And when we take the drive select here, it's placed here in the lower part and put it to the auto mode, and the suspension also gets a little bit softer. Once again, steering feeling very good, precise, direct. In the sports mode, it's a little bit, a little bit more resistance done. That's to me a little bit better for steering. And here in that auto mode, then the car also automatically decides if you rather go EV or not. And you can also kind of help that. There's an EV button here, and then you can switch, showed that to you earlier in the infotainment system, between EV driving specifically and this auto hybrid. It says intelligent use of battery charge. So in this auto mode, when you're driving really slowly, then it always goes electric. And then, for example, going higher speed in the motorway, then it will activate a combustion engine. Whereas when the EV mode, the electric driving will always be kind of pre-selected and will stay in that way. Indeed, with the plug-in hybrid drivetrain, it's more efficient to use EV driving in the city and to use the combustion engine on the motorway. And that's then what this hybrid mode is actually doing. Interesting also, I mean, there's all-wheel drive here, but in this case then, let's see here, whoa, wow, yeah, that's really cool. So this acceleration from the get-go, that's the one that is really, really cool, because it has this instant power, and you don't have the sound like in the SQ5. So the SQ5 will always feel sportier, and you think it's sportier. Acceleration-wise, this one already comes close. When you had the air suspension here, yeah, the suspension was quite stiff, and then you can also do some great cornering. So it really goes in the SQ5 direction in a way. Then here also with the S line, so there's not too much difference left then. Yeah, and price-wise also not, because this one here, with all the equipment we've shown you today, I mean, it's a great vehicle, but the price is at 80,000 euros? What? It's of course too expensive, you know, that's the thing. But you get a lot for it quality-wise. It's a premium vehicle. Really feels also very good to the countryside road. Very, you know, calm and sophisticated on the road. And about recuperation, so when you go off the throttle, the car is rather rolling, you know, that's the philosophy here in the normal D auto mode. And just when you're actually on the brakes, then it goes into this charging area. As for the overall range, as we started here, our trip, we're about, just over 500 kilometers or over 300 miles of combustion engine range, and then around 40 kilometers or 25 miles as for the electric range. And then you have an overall range of, some 550 kilometers or 330, 340 miles, something like this. So you're actually fine with that. The electric range, of course, could be a little bit better, but most of the plug-in hybrids do not offer much more range yet, actually. So it really varies here from that official figure they're giving you. Really unpleasant weather on the outside, but this one here, the Audi Q5, gives you such a calm and settled driving feeling. You can drive it in a sport way and enjoy it with the steering and suspension and so on. At the same time, it's also good long term because you have the comfortable seating position. Here also with the best seats that are available, told you that earlier, with the fabric surface. This will be also most breathable when it's, for example, really hot in summer times. The cruise control is set with a separate stall column in the lower area here. And then with my left index finger here in the upper stall column, I can also activate or deactivate quite easily the lane keeping assist. And I tested earlier on the motorway. The lane keeping assist is not intrusive at all. It rules kind of late. It's not in this autonomous area. It's more like keeping you on the lane, keeping you on the road. But the good thing about that is that it doesn't annoy you, and if at some point it would annoy, then you can always deactivate it pretty quickly and then steer yourself. So this vehicle here still gives you some kind of classic analog user interface. I really like that. You have the modern touchscreen there where you can also easily get to your Apple CarPlay while driving here and so on. That's okay. It's not distracting too much because you can also easily access it in here. Then the manual climate tuning while driving, with my favorite climate tuning of all times. We see it's fading away. So maybe at some point I just have to get maybe at least a model of this. Gotta ask Audi if they're, hey, do you have any of these spare parts left there for these climate units? Just send me one for the museum, for the Autogefühl museum. Then I always go there like to the, behind the glass box and something like click, 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 click for the AC unit. Yeah, you see I'm already planning my retirement, but not yet. So back to the driving here. Yeah, countryside road, also once again very calm, and I really like to steer this car around. So it does deliver you one of the best driving feelings in this segment. Is the plug-in hybrid worth it? The electric range is limited. Probably mainly people in Germany will go for it for tax benefits. For company vehicles, you have to tax less than for your private use of the vehicle. This is the main reason. Is it really more environmentally friendly? No. Do you have less fuel consumption? Not really. It depends rather than how often you charge this one. The pure fuel consumption here, when you leave the electric drivetrain aside, when it's kind of empty, will land at about like 9 to 10 liters on 100 kilometers. So some mid-20s mpg US, some 30 mpg UK. That's not really good, When the battery is empty, you carry around more weight. However, you can also use some recuperation effects, even when the battery is empty. Of course, when you're on the brake, have this regenerative braking, and then you can start again with a small electric rolling or something. So that does give you something of an advantage once again. But it's not a major game changer when you're driving this car predominantly on the motorway or something. It will make sense when you can commute in the city all electric, maybe during the week, or you have a short route to work, and then take a longer trip on the weekend or something, then it makes sense. Other than that, it's more of a transition period. Yeah, and the thing is that it's really in a way performance oriented, because you can combine both drivetrains and really have a great boost forward. Shown that to you here in the early stages of this driving part, that was really a lot of fun. Although, of course, sound-wise, it cannot keep up with the SQ5. Porsche designers, how much attention shall we pay to the wheel design? Project leader, yes. Welcome here to the Porsche Macan facelift, the last hurrah for the Macan. The last time we will see it with a combustion engine. Today the Macan S, later also the Macan GTS here to come on our channel. This one here already more powerful. All the changes now with Thomas and Autogefühl. Let's go. By the way, if someone puts my first remark, like my first 2 sentences, as a comment, it might be the highest ranking one. Just a tip from me. Here the front of the Macan facelift, you can see the lower bumper has been altered a little bit, depending also on the model. The GTS will look a little bit more sinister. Then huge opening right here, LED standard, already with this dynamic light function. This one here is called deep black, this color here. Yeah, and even more screaming out wheels to come. This is also new, this kind of stamped in structure than here for the front design. A little bit more overhang now on the redesign, 4.73 meters or 186 inches. And here the Macan S automatically comes with 20-inch wheels. 19 would be the standard one for the base model. And then 21-inch wheels, optional. You can also see them here in the obvious golden color. Wow, that looks really massive in contrast here to the deep black metallic look. And well, here we have the optional carbon ceramic brakes, but then yellow brake calipers with golden wheels. Nah. Or what's your take on that? Tell me yours in the comments. Then the typical round Macan design, Porsche strong shoulders right here. And suspension-wise, the base model starts with a normal suspension, then optional or standard for the S model, the PASM, the active suspension management, means the adaptive suspension, and then optional or standard for the GTS, the air suspension, but with a sporty note. And we also have it here today. A very clean and cool look here for the rear, light strip going all the way through, and even more impressive when you open it up in the morning in the basement garage or something. Yeah, that's fancy. Optional sports exhaust here mounted, and then the diffuser style already for the Macan S, and again this stamped in styling right here. And power wise or acceleration wise, zoom more to the engines, 4.6 seconds is the acceleration figure here then to 1 kilometer or 62 miles an hour, and 4.3 with the GTS. So essentially now the S is what the GTS was before, and the GTS is now what the turbo was before. So everything upgraded, but then goodbye to the turbo. So cool always how that hood opens, like here, they cut in for the headlamps. Then you have a very clean look here today on the Macan S. Now already with the 2.9 liter V6 bi-turbo. Before that only the GTS had that. Here now with 380 horsepower, 20 horsepower upgrade. In the GTS even a 60 horsepower upgrade to 440 horsepower with the very same engine. That's then the top of the lineup. And as a base, the known 2-liter 4-cylinder engine, but now also with the horsepower upgrade, 265 horsepower. Yeah, you know, in 2023 there will be the all-new Macan on the all-new electric platform. But then this one will still be built on this old platform. Well, it doesn't have to be a bad thing, because here you still know what you get. That's why we are here today. I think you'll never guess the full price of holding this key in your hand. Try it now in the comments. How much is this car actually as it stands here right now, with all the extras included and so on? Take your guess now, and later on I will show you the full extra list, and you won't believe. Door closing sound. Solid. Inside of the door here today with a nice carbon fiber insert and the bright styling. You can, by the way, also get the fabric leatherette mix for the base seats in 3 different colors, in gray, beige or black. These here are the optional animal skin seats, and here this is also the optional sport seat, which has, you know, some more shoulder accentuations. It's not really needed. The base seat will also do just fine and just gives you more possibilities actually. Then the steering wheel, rather classic one, and great to have the drive selector here still in that place. And I can't believe that this vehicle, and also the price we'll show later to you here, with the key it's really nice, but then there's no keyless entry function. You always have to press it open manually, and then you also have to put it in here. It has some kind of cool thing, you know, and heritage and so on, but still, you know, no keyless entry, nor for the door, neither for starting up the car. Really? Inside, comfortable seating position here, so already feels like a grown-up SUV indeed. Steering control is here electric, in and out, up and down, takes a while. And heated steering wheel is also an option. It's right here behind that steering wheel, so hidden place. And 1m86, 6'1", no problem as for the headroom. Really nice and clean design, everything wrapped tightly, typical Porsche design. And also when you go for the animal-free seats, you can get, for example, beige in the lower part and black on the top part that it doesn't reflect, you know, similar styling to this one. New 10.9-inch screen. This one is now an update, also with the newer software. Zoom into the details of that. Of course, it gets a little bit more complicated then, but looks cleaner. And then here in the middle console, what have they done there? Yes, they kept the normal climate dials. Gladly they did that. However, rest has been made rather buttonless and then more capacitive buttons. However, they are actually quite big and clear. So as for capacitive buttons, it's quite good. And also this new shifting lever here, which is giving you a very analog and, you know, crisp and, you know, old school feedback. I like that actually. Adaptive cup holders here, an armrest and with two USB-C chargers underneath them now. And the steering wheel, still classic way. Love that they have this drive mode selector right there. Instruments, yes, still the analog stuff with a small digital speed meter. And on the right side, you can then adjust some things here. On this, you know, for example, also have the map in there. That's all we need actually. That's totally fine. So why not? And fuel economy, I can already tell you right now. So yeah, some 11 liters, 1 kilometers you have to calculate with, so some 20 mpg. Here we go with the infotainment system. See here, GPS map is not that responsive, takes a long time to load and so on, but it looks actually quite fancy, and also the glass feels, you know, really cool and soft. Apple CarPlay integration looks like this. You can still have, you know, something at the side then, for example. And let's listen to that sound here. We have the Bose sound system, which is giving, yeah, a very typical Bose sound, which sounds, let's say, you know, not too bass heavy, but really clear, but not too exaggerated. So I like this, you know, Bose gives this kind of, you know, like, yeah, special standard Bose sound. It's really hard to describe. Well, in the rear, it, yeah, you know, hardly fits exactly maybe when the driver would be a little bit shorter. Headroom is no problem, but legroom wise, yeah, this is kind of hit and miss with the Macan. It's somewhat okay for 4 tall adults, but just okay. The seating position itself is actually quite good if there just would be a little bit more legroom, right? Now to USB-C chargers here in the rear, still a climate unit, and then these cup holders here are also adaptive. That's nice. And from here we can also see this nice microfiber headliner. And by the way, oh, this light here is one of the highlights indeed. Especially looks cool at night. Yeah, but that's the only thing, because otherwise there's no real ambient lighting. Classic Macan trunk opening right there. Still a nice solution. And then here the normal length is a little bit less than 1 meter or 40 inches. And the width is a little bit more than 1 meter or 40 inches. That's actually good. So here, cabin trolley easily to be fitted in right there, and you fold the seats from the rear seats and then also 1-1-1, so you don't have a 40-60 split. You can also fold this one here individually. What was your price guess? Here the Macan S starts at 70,000 euros, for example, and then here air suspension as an option, 2,400 euros for the extra sports exhaust, 8,000 euros for the carbon and ceramic brakes. And it continues. And here we go. Rear view camera, that's at least in US. Adaptive sport seats, yeah, you shouldn't go for them because then it's only animal. And then, what the hell? Really? 112,000 euros or dollars? Yeah, I mean, so many awesome things we've already seen up to this point, but 112,000 euros? Well, does the driving agility justify that price? Let's find out. Welcome to Thomas's performance driving lounge here with the Porsche Macan S in the updated facelift version. So this one essentially now the power of a GTS, and we'll see how that brings this new 2.9 liter V6, or newly in the S version, up to speed from 40 kilometers an hour on the German motorway. Let's go. Plop, that's 200 kilometers an hour, 125 miles an hour. Very smooth acceleration. You maybe also saw the all-wheel drive distribution if you are watching this on a big TV screen or something. And this one here equipped with the optional air suspension, but here tuned on a stiffer note in the Sports Plus mode. I said here on the steering wheel, and wow, this feels so agile for an SUV. See here, the suspension is not shaking up at all. At the same time, the air suspension does deliver comfort, so that's very good. And bear in mind that we have the 21-inch wheels on this vehicle, so although these are the big wheels, the ride is really good and comfortable still. So sportiest mode here, 21-inch wheels, and this is the key of the air suspension. So you can set it on a stiffer note in the comfort mode or the normal mode, then it's a little bit softer. But this air suspension really delivers a great compromise between sportiness and comfort. And this is to me also different to what Mercedes does than in the AMG air suspensions. They tune it to such a stiff note that you don't feel it's an air suspension anymore. But here actually it still does a great job. Also upright seating position, so you have a comfortable seating position overall. And you have these compact sizes, you know, so the SUV is not too big. So it feels very good in the handling, and yes, it is an old platform, we know that. But on the other hand, it's very well developed. And I always say it's usually better to buy a vehicle that is not that new, because things have gone wrong before. And so if the vehicle is on the market for a longer time already, there are less mistakes. Best example, VW Golf 7.5 versus the 8. Get a 7.5, you can still get one. Trust me on this. Yeah. But here, really very nice. Also in normal mode, when you hit the throttle, good acceleration. So definitely so much more power than before. 4.6 seconds with the Sports Chrono package we have also in this vehicle. Yeah, and that's of course for an SUV really, really good in performance. Very precise from that steering wheel. Look at that. I mean, lane change, every single lane change is so much fun. And you do sit upright, but at the same time you think like, wait a minute, this is a sports car and this should be lower. You know, your brain is like, yeah, this behaves like a sports car and it steers like a sports car, but why am I sitting that high? It's like, what's wrong here? And there's also a reason why the Porsche Macan is the most successful Porsche model of, I think also of all times. I mean, current highest sales, of course, yes. And especially also, true Porsche fans will hate this, but the Porsche Macan 4-cylinder is the most important Porsche model in the world. Yeah, that's just the thing. And people buy it because they get the Porsche experience without lower back pain. And the same accounts for me. I sit terribly in a Porsche 911. I just have to say it over and over again. I don't think it's comfortable at all. Others might disagree and find the 911 comfortable. It's good for you. I'm really happy for you if you find that. But to me, it's not. And the Macan or the Cayenne, they are. And that's the reason why Porsche is, for example, in China known as an SUV brand. And the SUVs are sold way more than their sports cars, meanwhile. Very nice from that all-wheel drive distribution, showing us that we have a rear-wheel bias from that all-wheel drive. And the more I hit the throttle, I did concentrate on the road when I did the first acceleration, but you've maybe seen it. So the more I hit the throttle, the more power is also transported then to the front wheels. Sorry, Thomas, I didn't quite get what you mean by that. Like this. So really nice from the performance, and this could be racetrack anytime. Here, of course, at 200 kilometers an hour, 125 miles an hour, the wind has picked up as for the wind noise. So, but overall, it's relatively silent in here. Let's bring it to a normal motorway speed. Yeah, here at 106. Nah, that's yeah, I know. That's normal German motorway speed. Sorry for that. Okay, let's bring it to worldwide normal motorway speed. Yeah, that's like 130 kilometers an hour now. So yeah, you got me totally with that. So like 70, 80 miles an hour. And this here is reasonably silent. That would be a good cruising speed. And you can set the cruise control. Not the most sophisticated one, but it has also the the distance sensor. There's not much with lane keeping assist and so on. So this one is rather classic. This is rather an old school vehicle, if you want it that way in comparison. But to me, that's not a bad thing. So this car feels here more analog than a lot of others. Just some digital displays right there. Yes, they have the updated infotainment system here now, but big analog meter and so on. And yeah, just as analog as I need it, actually, as a car enthusiast. Or what do you think? So I really have to say I'm so much into new technology that improves safety and also comfort and everything. But some things just need to be analog in a car, doesn't it? And now agile driving up the hill, Autogefühl's peak. Let's see about the steering precision here once again. You have good resistance in the steering wheel, so it's not that you have these typical new steerings which feel like steering through thin air. This is really rather natural feeling. It could maybe be a little bit more progressive, but it's still, of course, really nice and very precise. In every degree area something is happening. Then these rather short dimensions of the Macan, which really help in the corners. Here you can set to the normal mode back again. Then the exhaust note is also more silent when we pass these houses here and don't want to annoy them while they're... Oh, there's the so-called Deutsche Heilige Mittagsruhe. It's like the holy noon break from 13 to 15, like from 1 to 3 o'clock p.m. And you're not allowed to mow the lawn outside then, for example. Yeah. German habits. But then, when we're outside the houses, nice. Lovely. And also like plop crackles from the exhaust. Now the hairpin bend is coming. Let's see. I hope no one is... again, someone is parking there, but I think I can still test it. Yes. Really nice. Such a smooth and sporty driving experience. Definitely, with that facelift, still one of the sportiest SUVs out there. And of course, with this power upgrade, even more powerful than before. Welcome to a full review here of the Mercedes GLC. Here in the front, we can see main change with the facelift are those new daytime running lights together with new headlamps. Standard now LED. Optional, the one you can see here, the multi-beam LED for more high beam support. This here in the standard line has this dual horizontal fin grille. In the AMG line it would have this diamond pin grille, which would be my favorite as for the exterior design. Pretty interesting design, and it's here, however, in chrome, looks pretty elegant. Also interesting with those holes there in the lower part. So, but you can definitely change the design around just a little bit. The big Mercedes star is two-dimensional because it hides the sensors. And for example, also important, the autonomous emergency brake is standard, but we can also expect that. And also the Distronic, the adaptive cruise control, has been updated now with the facelift, and there's also a new trailer maneuvering assist. 4.65 m, 15'3" or 183 inches is the length of the GLC SUV. You know, it's also available as a GLC Coupe, which would have the main difference that it has a falling roofline right there. Then wheels start from 17 to 19 inch in the normal GLC specs, which you can see here, the 19 inch ones in the AMG line. There's 19 or 20 inch, so a little bit bigger, and the GLC 63 even goes up to 21 inch, which is then very massive for this mid-size SUV. Then we also have this optional side step. It's very interesting. Pretty cool design element, even if it's not maybe that practical. And it's pretty cool when it has, like it's mirrored in the fresh A cleaned paint here in the lower part that looks quite fancy then. Other than that, I like it with the elegant chrome frames around the windows and this typical bended L shape that the GLC has right there, together with some slight strong shoulders of, you know, overall a very elegant design. Or what's your take on that? In the rear we can now see a modern tail lamp signature here. This is definitely fancier, so that's the main facelift change, GT3 300 badge. Overall then, I think, you know, not too much screaming out in the rear, rather round design. And the lower end here, this is typical fake exhaust tip. There's nothing in it, so the real exhaust underneath, yeah, dirt, fake exhaust, allrounder and Autogefühl. And by the way, suspension information, there's a standard suspension, then a little bit higher one for like soft off-road situations for a couple of €100. Same goes for the sport suspension, which goes lower. And then more sophisticated suspension choices. Adaptive suspension is available for, you know, a little bit more than €1,000 extra or dollars. And then more than 2,000 extra is then the air suspension, which is also built in this car here today. So there are a couple of other competitors who have that, but not so many. So this is also one of the, you know, unique selling points of this car, and we'll test that comfort, of course, later on. Here we go with the engine. Yay, hydraulic struts. Love that, but I mean, for a vehicle that is between 40 and 80k, we can expect that. So, 2-liter 4-cylinder petrol engines, like today also. There's a GLC 200 with around 200 horsepower and a GL3 300 with about 250 horsepower, 255 in US, 258 in Europe, so they're different just a little bit. 6.2 seconds is the acceleration figure. And here in the all-wheel drive today, in the US, it's also available as rear-wheel drive. And new with the facelift is that those two engines, the 2-liter 4-cylinder engines, come with an MHEV system, 48-volt board net for more recuperation, and also those sailing or coasting functions. Talking about more about that when we drive the car very soon. And still waiting for the update of the GLC 43. Maybe it's there if you watch the review later on. This one is a 3-liter V6 with 362 horsepower, but that one not facelifted yet at this moment when we record the video. And then already facelifted, also there's a review of that, the GLC 63, the V8 bi-turbo. The 43 also has a bi-turbo, by the way. So the V8 4-liter in the GLC 63 with 476, or in the S version 410 horsepower. And then there are also diesels available, 200D with 163 horsepower, 220D with 194 horsepower and 300D with 245 horsepower. So those ones are diesel then for Europe. And last but not least, there's now also the GLC 300E PHEV. Was called 350E before, they changed the name now, so it's a new plug-in hybrid, and really love to test that one at a later stage. It's a petrol plug-in hybrid that could be a good alternative for a better fuel economy. Now to the interior, we see here high-class Artico leatherette top cover. Then we have a matte wood inlet, which is pretty classic and also sophisticated. Galvanized buttons all over the place. It's a very good build quality and also reasonable door pockets in lower end. Then today we have a mix of brown and beige for the interior. Yeah, I think that's a matter of taste. Here you can see the instruments, all digital now, optional with this facelift, soon more to that, but you can see that at the moment it's all shut off. And then those seats here, again today in beige, but the animal skin spec, how do you see that? They have a little bit more elements here, those elements you can see there and count. If it would be the Artico sustainable and animal friendly leatherette seat, then it would have, I think, 5 elements in this back part, so that's how you can visually differentiate them. The Artico seat's really high class, and in Europe, especially Germany, you can get also a fabric base seat. Then you can get fabric on the inside and leatherette on the outside, which would be an awesome mix. And then also in the US, you can get a full Artico seat. And the cool thing, they offer it in black, beige, gray, brown and red. So Mercedes offers one of the widest choices of different, more sustainable interior materials. Really well done as for the choice. And Dynamica on the inside, microfiber, and Artico on the outside would be for the AMG line, then you have a little bit sportier and a little bit stickier on the seat when you go into those corners. Phew, yeah, so many things to tell you about the seating choices. You should check out the configurator or the build, how you call it in the US, and just play around with that a little bit. That's really a lot of fun in this case here also with the GLC. The new steering wheel with the facelift, you can see here left side is for the cruise control now, not a separate column. It's easier to set, and also those touch field, right button for the right thumb right there. This is then to control the right screen, and left thumb, left button for the left screen. This is also new. Now let's get inside. Pretty easy entry. You already have an upright SUV seating position. That's cool. Somewhat similar to the BMW X3 as for the height, overall position and so on. Steering wheel has an electric function here. That's not based. That's an option. So it goes in and out and also up and down quite a lot actually. Seat control here at the inside of the doors, which is typical on Mercedes. Hard to do it while reviewing and while sitting here. If you compare it to the GLE bigger, higher, feels a little bit more open and sophisticated as for that, but just from that you have more space. The quality of materials is quite similar in GLC and in GLE. That's different as for the X3 versus X5, where the X5 really has a wider span, wider distance to the X3. Definitely very interesting, but feeling very, very cozy and comfortable in here. Also because you can put the seating area a little bit longer here, and if you have different seat cover, by the way, it won't change necessarily the seat form. There are different seat forms also available, but then this one here, the very same seat form is also available and with different material. So overall, very good impression at first, and a little bit more sophisticated in general to the pre-facelift because of this new steering wheel and also the screens we have here, and we'll of course turn them on when we have the rear cockpit perspective from behind. So welcome to this interior. Let's turn everything on. You start with analog gauges on the left, and optional those full digital 12.3 inch now with the facelift, and on the right side you start with a smaller 7-inch screen and optional this 10.25 inch screen, and both feature the MBUX, this new voice input system where you can, for example, say, "Hey Mercedes,
How may I help
drive me to Berlin."
I am starting route guidance to Berlin.
So that's really perfect. You can change temperature, turn on and off head-up display, even open and close the sunroof and so on. The best system there is on the market, and BMW on
Please proceed to
place
the
2 at the
highlighted
moment.
route.
So they're newest only in the big cars, not in the X3. So the new BMW natural voice input system also pretty cool. So that's one thing. Soon more deals to each of those screens. And again here the steering wheel, which is a little bit more fancy than before. Volume control here on the right side, and here with my right thumb I can control the right screen, and then you can also see how that works. But redundant controls, I can also do it like here with a touch or touchscreen, and this is of course also one of the new big news. And then here in the lower console I can use this touchpad, that's also an option, and I can write an address there too. This is possible. And then with the left thumb I can control stuff here in the digital instruments and also change the styles and so on. So overall pretty fancy, and I think the facelift did a lot of really nice stuff here, and especially with the wooden decals here, this is like a matte wood here, you can also hear that. That's really cool. And still manual climate unit to be able to control that while driving a little bit better. GPS hotkey, I also like to have it very well reachable here. Then this lower part you slide open, and you have USB-C port now for your smartphone, for the Apple CarPlay and Android Auto connection, but also an inductive charging pad, but it doesn't make any sense if you don't have wireless connection. Some cup holders, and last but not least, in the middle part here, typically it slides open, and then 2 more USB-C devices underneath with some decent space. And they're going all the way USB-C now, definitely. And now to those digital instruments here, yeah, we can also rev it up then, right there. And interesting thing is here, for example, you can have the fuel economy then right there. This is our realistic fuel economy at the moment, and then you can also have some GPS input here. If there is the road map, then you also see a more sophisticated stuff in there. You can change this head-up display settings, or also the complete design of this one here, for example to sportier gauges like this, and also progressive. And the cool thing is, here in the GLC, it loads way faster than in the E-Class or in the GLE with the digital instruments. Probably because it's a little bit easier set up or something, I like it. It's, you know, more progressive. And the head-up display right there. The speed, you can also see the allowed speed and also some GPS information. So it's a very nice option. And the speed itself is the crispest, clearest one of that part. The other parts maybe a little bit out of focus from time to time, but overall it's still very helpful. And some more details about this screen. For example, let's take a look at the GPS up close. So it's a nice visualization, and also zoom in and out, and usually also quite responsive. And the Apple CarPlay integration looks like this. Does not use all the way off the screen, but mostly the CarPlay is also not the widest screen format. And this optional Mercedes sound system here is delivering a very crystal clear sound. Awesome. The 3D sound system, which is available for the E-Class or the GLE, is a little bit better even, but this one here already at a very, very high level. And there you go back to the normal Mercedes model, Mercedes menu. And here, for example, you can also check some engine data. If the engine is then on, you can play around with there. Yeah, we go with the engine torque. So a lot of things you can set. And what's also very nice is, you know, these comfort features, where in this case you even have option again a massage, which is very rare for this segment. Of course, again, a coast-worthy option. That feels pretty nice. It's nice, yeah, pretty cool. Not exactly that cool as you would have in a GLE, where you have like more single dots in there in the seat, but it's already quite fancy. But you can of course also live without it. And ambient lighting is also very nice. It's that blue, of course. Here you can see also something you know, of that already in the interior. Can change the color right there. And of course, always brightness all the way up, yay. The rear view camera is quite good as well too, by the way. Also shows you those helping lines, they adapt, and then you also have this drone view from above. But you can also set it to different views here on the right side, like to, you know, all the way rear, for example, or that one here. And I want to show you also another example of this one here, so where the tires are being seen left and right. For example, if you approach a car wash and then you don't want to damage your wheels, then you can really adapt that. Yeah, that's cool, right? And also do the front view camera. So, but that's of course the optional, most sophisticated camera system that is available. And here you can always see that this car has air suspension, because with this button you can raise the car for some situations where you need more ground clearance. This one is a driving mode selector. I will also browse through that when we drive the car later on. What I also like is this upper light area, because it has this crystal effect, you know, so pretty cool. And let's see where you open the panoramic roof, like this. And so you see it's split between front and rear. And there you can leave some more light in. And this is the cover, by the way. So there would also be a cover available for really, really hot days, like this, and then just press once more, like this, and here the cover goes through, and same happens also for the rear. Now to the rear, also with a nice soft touch article on the inside doors and the matte wood. That's awesome. But the sound system here as well, and yeah, it does exactly fit. You know, those gaps here in the back of the seat, they are really helpful to give you some more knee room. It does exactly fit then for 4 tall adults. You should always raise the front seat a little bit, that it's easy with your feet underneath. And also headroom wise, although this panoramic roof, it does not go all the way over the vehicle. It's split here in between, but then you have another glass area right there, so leaves a lot of light in, and then still some headroom left. And it's actually quite cozy in here. This, of course, and if you compare the former GLK, this one here works very well in the rear. Although it's not the best package, so we have shorter cars and have more legroom, but still you get along very well, and it's also definitely decently comfortable back here. What else do we have? Isofix at the outside parts each. Then you have a cubby hole underneath this armrest, or cup holders in the front, which you can fold out, and you can also get a rear climate unit, and also 2 USB-C supplies in the rear. That's also new with the facelift. Here we go. Trunk can also be opened with a foot kick opening mechanism. Then you can actually lock this lower part. That's a pretty cool function. Then we have more storage underneath, and that's pretty square dimensions. And I really love this top cover, which has rails on the side, and it's very, very clean solution. On the right side, to flip the seat, And also on the left side, together with when you have the air suspension, you can also lower the car just a little bit. What I want to do first is give you the measurement to the normal seating area. So this would be here then about 90 centimeters, a little bit more in length, whereas we have a little bit more than a meter in width, and actually significantly more, almost 1.10 meters. And this is really cool, so good dimensions for this trunk. Also in the height here, this is about 40 centimeters to the top cover, and to the overall height, this one here is about 75 centimeters. And the cool thing is that when you put a cabin trolley right here in this trunk, it is still possible exactly to close the cover here cleanly above it. And now with the X3, for example, that the cover here had to go a little bit lower right here in this area. But it also, had the additional height for the replacement tires. You should check that out to, just to mention it. And then if we also flip the other part, there's a very cool mechanism here. Usually also an option depending on the market. But then, see, everything is easily flowed and all goes all the way flat. And this one here is a little bit less than 1.80 meters in length. So overall, a very versatile car. I like that. Welcome to Thomas's Driving Lounge with the Mercedes GLC in this facelift version. And as I told you initially, I'm going to talk about how does it feel differently from the pre-facelift. How does it feel differently from the BMW X3, one of the main competitors, and also from the Mercedes GLE, the bigger brother, if you're thinking about comparing those. And one of the changes here is that those 2-liter 4-cylinder petrol engines are now MHEV, so mild hybrid systems. So with a battery that is bigger than a normal car battery, in the eco mode, the throttle input is being drawn back, and more attention to better fuel economy and so on, earlier shifting up, and I can see if there's a power output from this MHEV system, or if there is this, by the way, the warning system here, the blind spot monitor, and if I set the turning indicator, then I also get an acoustic warning. Pretty good system, and you already experienced that as for the assistance now. So when I'm rolling down here now in the eco mode, what's the car doing? It's recuperating a little bit, but also rolling. So it's more using a rolling. If I go, for example, to the comfort mode, it doesn't change so much as for the recuperation because it's still rolling. If I go to the sports mode, I have actually more engine brake because the car is, a gear lower. And the interesting thing is, it's charging more. So this is really interesting. I would have. Wait a minute. Now it's. But now it's charging more in the eco mode. So not always sure why is it doing that way or that way. Because when we were at the beginning of the hill, the car wasn't charging that much. Maybe it's a thing, but when the car realized we're going down it for a longer time or so, that then the recuperation sets in. And this is really interesting because now the charging is less again, and now we are in the sailing mode. This is very interesting. So the RPMs drop to 0, and now we're rolling and the engine is shut off. So, and this is a thing that is predominantly happening in this eco mode. So now we're sailing. Now I want to increase the speed once again a little bit more. That won't work that well when you are in the Distronic, in the cruise control mode, by the way. And I mean, that's really interesting because the sailing or coasting thing is something that should be favored by this MHEV system. So that's the reason to do that. And of course, using the recuperation then to get you some electric boost. I mean, for performance reasons, that's one thing. And the other thing is also when you are, getting started just from the traffic light, that you can save some fuel by adding this, electric power to it, which was again gained from recuperation earlier. So yeah, definitely very interesting first impressions. The question is always, does it make a huge difference in the fuel economy overall? And so far, from all our tests, we could say, if you have a proper plug-in hybrid system with a good recuperation, then this even made sense for the fuel economy, even if you were not recharging all the time. But those MHEV systems with the smaller batteries, on paper they were usually better, but then in real life driving tests, usually it didn't play such a role for the fuel economy, and here as well. So, well, now in winter time, but even without using AC, we had numbers on long-term driving, which were actually a little bit worse than 9 liters or more kilometers, worse than 26 mpg US, 31 mpg UK. So that's already something good if you reach that, but usually the numbers were even a little bit worse. That is a little bit worse than we recently had with the BMW X3 with the 2-liter 4-cylinder engine. So the BMW engine seems to be a little bit more economical in this case, but not too big of a difference. And again, it doesn't seem that this MHEV system would play a major role. I will check it once again when we're finished with this round, definitely on the fuel economy. Other than that, the facelift didn't change much as for the driving characteristics. I mentioned earlier that there are different suspensions available, base suspension, off-road or bad road suspension, which sits a little bit higher, sport suspension, which sits a bit lower, and then that's just a couple of €100 extra each, like 300 and 400. And then if you're going adaptive, like a little more than 1,000 euros or dollars, then you go with the adaptive suspension, which is already a nice choice. Definitely have more variety in the comfort and sportiness. And then this one, which we have inbuilt here today, more than 2,000 euros extra, is the air body controls. So this one is the air suspension, and quite exclusively also for this segment, the Audi Q5 does offer that, for example, too. But the BMW X3, for example, not. Well, the adaptive suspension of the BMW X3 is really very, very good. So you're not missing an air suspension. And BMW has a very good compromise between sportiness and comfort. Here, so the compromise is better with the BMW. But here, the overall comfort is even a little bit better when you have the air suspension. So picking the air suspension would be one major argument for going with the Mercedes GLC, because they have this very soft carpet-like ride, so and that's really something very cool. If you own such a car for 10 years or so, then you might think about long-term repair costs on the air suspension that will get very expensive. If you're not afraid of that, then you can go for it, and you have enjoyed great comfort until then. Or if you lease the car, then it won't be such a problem anyway. But this is something really cool, to be in this mid-size SUV here and have such a very comfortable air suspension. This is really very, very cool. It's also pretty silent as for the noise insulation. That's also what I like about this car. It fits very well. The steering is pretty light, but still doesn't feel unnatural. So everything is transported to the road. There's no dead zone of the steering. It's pretty cool. And with this new infotainment system, with the digital instruments in this facelift, it gives me also a more modern and more sophisticated experience when driving the car. So that's something where the facelift definitely helped, if you are opting for that stuff. So that's not that it would come directly as standard equipment. Yeah, we know that. That's what Mercedes does. They just want more money from you. That's the downside of those even fancier things, definitely. So both BMW X3 and Mercedes GLC, they are really excellent SUVs and definitely among the top in their segment in many, many ways. So again, I conclude BMW best compromise, sportiness and comfort, a lot of driving fun. I would say in the sporty sense, the X3 is a little bit more fun to drive. The GLC, however, top of the comfort, especially suspension-wise, when you pick the optional air suspension here, and then also better in the comfort overall. Again, but then it's not that sporty and doesn't, it's not that much fun to drive it. It's still fun, yes, but if you compare it to the X3. And if you then think about, can it be a little bit sportier with the compromise? The GLC 43, for example, which also has the air suspension, but is then set on a very stiff note, that I felt for everyday driving was too harsh. And we actually also got some customer feedbacks who said like, test rides said like, yeah, I experienced the same thing, Thomas, and therefore I went then, for example, with the GLC 300. Although, someone wanted the 43, So I think if you go for the high-end top sports model, you might want or expect this very harsh and stiff ride. But if you're going for those, semi-performance models, I think you want a better compromise for your everyday driving. You want a little bit more power, but you still want the great comfort this car has to offer. And here again, it's such a pleasure to enjoy this comfort here. Silence again, good noise insulation. The engine is very well insulated from the cabin. Yeah, that's really something really amazing. And is really a very, very tough question if you ask me, GLC or X3, which one would I go for? It's really hard, the X3 is a lot of fun to drive. I really also like the very central interior they have here, also again with the facelift changes. The voice input system, because here they put the newest one in the X3 there's a newer one available for the bigger BMW models. So this one here has the more sophisticated voice input system. And whereas X5, whereas GLE, meanwhile I have the impression that the X5 is better built as for the interior quality. Here, GLC versus X3, I think it's the other way around. The GLC somehow has, better build quality to my, subjective impression than the X3, and both, definitely on a high level. But we also know, for example, where the GLC is being built in Germany, in northern Germany, which is, they're very good as for the quality over the past years. And the funny thing is, just 1 or 2 weeks ago, there was this German TÜV, so where they do the annual checkups or 2-year checkups of the cars, was this test, and the GLC was the winner in the best reliability index quality overall. Not in the segment, yes, also in the segment of course, but overall from all cars being tested. But that's not the case with every Mercedes car, With the GLE, they had some quality problems. They changed suppliers now in the production for in the US. They were brought over to Germany to fix them actually. So there was a hell lot of effort, and so obviously they got new suppliers there now for better quality. But again, the GLC has been proven to be very reliable. If you have been a GLC customer so far, please share your experience. If it's good or bad, please just share your experience, that we can either prove the point or maybe there's also something which didn't go that well. Would be really looking forward to that. And again, I don't feel like I need to rush things here. This is very smooth ride again, so enjoyable. And those aspects I mentioned, I really love the X3, but in this case, maybe then it's the GLC for me. Predominantly because I enjoy this very relaxing ride again when I go for the air suspension, which I think I would go because that's also one of the unique selling points of this car. Again, very smooth as for the steering wheel, even though it's not the sportiest one. Upright seating position, very comfortable on the long run. And I can, when I want to have the head-up display on, I'll just say, hey Mercedes, head-up display on, and then it's already happening,
What can I do for you?
Head-up display on.
The head-up display is on.
So then it was already on in this case, but that's pretty cool. Natural voice input and some stuff you don't have to search in the menu, and that's already it. So that's also very, very well done. The engine is very silent, very calm, especially when you are in the cruising modes all the time. The MF changes, yeah, it's nice. You can have some recuperation, but it's not like a major game changer. We've been running downhill now quite a lot of time. That's why the fuel economy is quite good at the moment. But still, that's around 9 liters. Although we have been, what's happening here? It's an accident. So although it was downhill, a lot of times, that should be way better now. So fuel economy, not happy with that. Would have expected more from this MF system. So Sports mode, by the way, when sports plus, there's no one here at the moment. Let's just accelerate a little bit, see how much power this car has for you. So let's just go. So that's 70 kilometers an hour already. That went quite quick, and the absolute figure to 100 kilometers or 62 miles an hour would be 6.2 seconds. So yes, very silent and refined, this engine, but if you want the power, wow, you have it. And that felt to me even a little bit more spontaneous than the X3 I've just ridden like yesterday. Yeah, yesterday or like 2 days ago in the US. Maybe in this case, yeah, the MF is not that important for the fuel savings, but for the power boost. I mean, this one here has about 250 horsepower, but then, you know, there are a little bit more horsepower added by this, by this MF system. So this seems to work actually, you know, with the extra electric boost. So I was expecting predominantly fuel economy changes, and not that it would change much in the power, but yeah, it seems I get all the EQ power at the moment now. But actually it's the other way around. It's a very interesting finding of this driving part. So it's more obviously about power than about better fuel economy. Pretty interesting, yeah. And we had the same experience also with the Mercedes C-Class, which is sharing a lot of parts here, of course, with the GLC. That's why I also call it C. Also, same result with the MF system, that the fuel economy wasn't really that good. But again, for power, why not? And yeah, this Sport Plus mode, you know, really gives you some very decent output. Pretty nice, definitely. This one here, this car, by the way, also still a classic all-wheel drive system. So rear-wheel bias as well. You also see that, for example, the GLC 300 is also available as rear-wheel drive only in the US, but only in the US. But that's also, you know, always a hint that it's not front plus rear, but rather rear plus front, you know. But this one here, rather a classic all-wheel drive, the real deal. And in Europe and Germany, you only can get this one here, the GLC, as all-wheel drive. So let's maybe go to the normal comfort mode and have some more motorway ride here. And let's go to 100 kilometers. Getting on and also setting the cruise control. It's an adaptive cruise control built in here, so I can also set the distance to the car in front of me, and then the distance is being kept, so it's pretty reliable. And we also have a lane keeping assist. Do not put your hands off the steering wheel. I'm always ready to intervene, just demonstration purposes now. Professional rider, don't attempt, disclaimer. So here now the car already complains I should put something at the steering wheel, but you see the car is being kept in the lane, so that's also done very well. And you should keep your hands on the steering wheel, and then it's a little bit more at ease. So definitely for longer motorway journeys, I can relax a little bit more here in the GLC, and probably at this point in this segment it would be a little bit more important to me than sportiness, but maybe it's the other way around for you. So pretty cool overall. Then to me, driving wise, among the top in the segment, if not the best, especially if you think about comfort. Then if you think about the GLE, the bigger brother, which I also recently drove, and so I can also very well compare that. But we also at 100 kilometers or 60 miles an hour, perfectly silent in this interior. This is also awesome. Good feeling also for the brakes, very natural feeling for the brakes. So how you can, fine tune that. And then again, recuperation is being used. So for the GLE discussion, bigger versus smaller. If you have the air suspension inbuilt in the GLC, it feels like less of a difference, because quite often when you compare those mid-size against the full size, that's the European definitions for, GLC versus GLE, X3 versus X5, Q5 from the Audi versus Q7, then you feel quite often a very big difference, because the bigger ones offer the air suspension and you have more this like smooth carpet ride, whereas those ones here are, not rough, but in comparison, or maybe just offer an adaptive suspension, which is already very good, but you feel that as a difference. This is even out here a little bit, so the riding comfort suspension-wise is almost equal to the GLE. What is different to the GLE is that in the GLE you sit higher, you have a little bit better overview because of sitting higher. On the other hand, the overview is worse when you think about how long and big the car is, you know, and the hood and so on. So here, for example, I can better watch over the hood, although I'm sitting not that high. So it's not entirely black and white, it's, you know, some there, some there. This one here, of course, feels a little bit lighter, a little bit easier to control. You can ease it around the corners a little bit better. And GLE then again gives you a little bit more, you know, huge, sophisticated driving feel. So the question is, how much money do you want to spend? How much space do you have in the city when parking, in your garage, in your basement garage, in front of your house or flat or something? So that could be a very crucial point. And you know, because this one here already feels that comfortable. The funny thing is here also that GLC versus GLE, both are excellent cars, but maybe in this case here I would say I would take the advantages of having a more compact vehicle, a little bit more flexible in the city and so on in comparison to the bigger GLE. And because they're both set on the comfort, that I feel sportier in this one here. With the BMWs, they are sportier in general, so I don't feel the, you know, the urge to go for the smaller model there, that it's sporty, you know. So the X5 still feels quite sporty for its size, and therefore I don't miss the X3 sporty driving feeling, you know what I mean? And the X5 also has a bigger difference in the interior build quality. Here with the GLC versus GLE, I don't see so big difference in the interior build quality, whereas X3 with X5 is a bigger difference. So to me, between GLC and GLE, I would probably go with the GLC, save some money, be a little bit more flexible in the city. Between X3 and X5, I would rather go probably with the bigger, with the X5, because, you know, more elaborate as for the functions, better infotainment system, better voice input, better build quality on the interior, more comfort, yet not so much less sportiness. So that's also, you know, very interesting finding. You know, I'm discovering that myself at the moment as well, you know. So yeah, so it's X5 and GLC. That would be, you know, my decisions then, definitely. And yeah, very interesting also to me for that finding. It's always cool to talk about the difference of of each of those cars. So then told you what is different with the GLC facelift, you know, just minor things driving wise and more the impression you get from those more elaborate things. Then again, general, how it's positioned in this segment, and then talked about the difference GLC X3 and also the difference GLC GLE. Hope you really enjoyed this, you know, comparing insight for you today to make the driving part even more interesting. And please leave me your feedback in the comments also about those individual aspects, and would be really looking forward also, which one would you actually go for, GLC or GLE, GLC or X3 or X5? So let's exchange some opinions there in the comment section. Really looking forward to read that. You know that I'm really trying to read every single comment, although it's like a couple of hours work per day and 365 days. Yes, 365 days a year. So I'm really spending a lot of my personal time also in your comments, just also to give you a feeling that your opinion and, you know, your experience is really also highly appreciated here. So, and then let's head over to the final conclusion. And now to our conclusion for the day with the Mercedes GLC here as the facelift. Exterior changes, not that much, of course. Yeah, lamps, new LED standard is good. Yeah, the daytime running light, or let's say like the signature in the tail lamps, also look more modern, a little bit cooler. Overall, an elegant design, definitely overall for the car. Interior, high build quality, and also vast choices of animal-friendly material. That is really where they are leading, together with Tesla, of course, who made that standard anyway. Also with those infotainment systems, upgrades, this is also pretty fancy. If you go for that one, it's an option, yes. But the MBUX is gladly standard, so with this voice input and so on, this is really leading on the market at the moment. and also some decent space they have there, especially flexible trunk system. That's pretty cool when you have that electric flipping system especially. Driving wise, so great, very well insulated, and wow, the air suspension is really so comfortable in this segment, leading in this segment to me. As for the comfort, yeah, maybe the BMW X3 for example is a bit more sportier fun, but this one here, the comfort king then as for that. Definitely one of the best cars overall in the segment, and I also mentioned that in the driving part recently, at least for a German rating, you know, with the TÜV ratings, so where they check the cars on you know, mostly 2 or 3 year basis. This one here also scored the best result overall from all cars that have been tested, so it seems also to be a very reliable one. Then also, if you think about the engine, now with the new MHEV system, was a little bit disappointed that the fuel economy wasn't better, so that was actually one of the very few bad results about this review. However, the boost was a little bit better, so I felt that, you know, it was a little bit faster, more explosive as for the acceleration with this additional electric boost. Welcome to a full review of the recent iteration of the Volvo XC60. In the front we have the R design today, that means stronger spoilers in the lower part and this black dot style grille. Of course, there are other grills available if you don't go for the R design. Also adds, of course, something more to the price. LED headlamps in this Thor's hammer design. They come with mid-trim, or then also included then in the higher trims, or optional for the base trim levels. Here then we do have them actually. And another R design feature, also here these black accentuations in the lower part. Overall a very strong look. 4m68, 15'4" or 184 inches is the length. And from which side I'm entering the stage today? From here. Hello. Then wheel sizes are from 18 to 22 inch. These here are 21 inch wheels. Can the air suspension, the optional one that we have mounted here today, even out this very, very huge wheel comfort-wise? We'll find out in the driving part. Then our design adds the black features here, mirror caps, also the window frames. Overall, again, a pretty simplistic design on the exterior, but I really like that. So the XC60, good in design. In the rear we have this typical design here of the Volvo Estates or SUVs with this vertical tail lamps here that in this case then, in this new generation, go around right here. Pretty interesting idea. And then the fake exhaust police. Because this is here an outer tip. Well, I mean, it's not completely fake exhaust because there is something on the inside, but it's definitely that the outer tip is way larger than it actually is. Our design here again with the black accentuations. Engines, all 2-liter 4-cylinders, but there is some variation definitely. So the new turbo petrol mild hybrids are called B4, 5 and 6. So in the very 197 horsepower, 250, that's the one you see here, and 300 horsepower. The first one front wheel drive, the second one, this one here, optional all-wheel drive. Here 6.9 seconds is the acceleration figure, and 300 horsepower always with all-wheel drive. But at the diesel side, there are also MHEVs now, and they're also called B4 and 5. So yeah, not really logical to me. But then you get also D, the normal diesels, non-MHEV, yeah, either 150 horsepower or 190 horsepower, and the mild hybrids 197 or 235 horsepower for the diesels. Yeah, and then there will be plug-in hybrids, T6 and T8, petrol plus electric motor, and then also with charging. But this here today, internal charging, so to say. First of all, door closing sound. Inside of the doors is, let's say, somewhat soft touch. But overall, nice handles and so on. Optional Bowers & Wilkins sound system that has this special sound setting. Soon more to that. New R design styling is here, this bright fabric. And we also find it on the seats. They are not black, by the way. It's rather a gray tone. I think that's quite, I mean, gray or a little bluish note or something like that. And then what's really not logical is, I mean, here we have the nice Argentine stamp, but then before you had black Alcantara on the inside and then some animal skin sadly on the outside, but now it's the other way around. Doesn't make any sense. I mean, the fabric looks nice and feels great, but here where you sweat in summer and where it's cold in winter, you have the animal skin, and then outside you have the breathable fabric. That makes no sense at all. And also look how the interior finishing is done here. That's really very poorly done. So I recommend, when you have them in your markets, especially EU markets, Germany and UK, there are fabric seats available, black or fabric leatherette mix, and there's also a so-called city weave. There's like a bright fabric leatherette mix. We had it in the V60. Here you can also see it, how it looks like. It's special, yes, but it's really awesome as a special design. Sadly, yeah, I have to say, get the past R design version from the previous model year, then you can get at least some Alcantara on the inside. Then aluminum pedals and special floor mats next to the R design steering wheel. That's pretty cool because it's a little bit thinner. Better to grab that one, and also with this R design badge. Then let's get inside. Mid-size SUV, so you already have a, let's say, sophisticated feeling in this vehicle. With 1.86 or 6'1", you have also enough headroom, even though we have the optional panoramic roof here, which you can also open. I turn on the ignition, and you can also open it quite wide, and it leaves a lot of light in the interior, definitely. Manual control here for the steering wheel. It's also a nice smooth process and goes really wide in and out and up and down and so on. And overall feeling quite cozy here. The sport seats here, they offer a little bit more shoulder support and so on. However, I feel that the base seats or the base comfort seats, they are a little bit more comfortable for long-term run and so on. I feel they adapt a little bit better to the body, although they're a little bit more open. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it really depends probably on the body style, but the other seats I've been testing here in the XC60 were, to my ergonomics, a little bit better, definitely. Here the electric control, also here for the front of the seat, by the way, so you can here put the front part more in or out than if you like. Interior overview with a beautiful Scandinavian design. Here this swimming structure. This is here somewhat, and this is also somewhat soft touch, so not super soft, but also not hard pack, something in between. I think it's totally fine. Here the option Bose & Wilkins sound system with the additional speaker right there. And on the right side, you can also see this silhouette of the Swedish flag, some nice detail. Steering wheel in the R design, a little bit slimmer, and I think over better grip. Then you also have the shifting pedals if you want to shift manual with this automatic gearbox here. 12-inch digital instruments standard, right side 9-inch screen in the vertical way layout. Soon more details to that. One thing in advance, when we pick here, the climate unit, we can use the voice control while driving. I'll show that while driving. But other than that, you have to click on that and then either use this here or the sliding function, or click already right here. So it's not too good to do that while driving, unless you're someone who sets 22 degrees Celsius and AC auto anyway. Well, then in the lower part, you still have a manual volume knob. I like that. And it's also a very interesting one haptically. It has this diamond style. Not too many buttons left. And in the lower console here, you can either close everything. That's cleaner then. Here we go. Or open the front for a small cabrio. Here then for some cup holders. This automatic shifting lever here. Yeah, we also have that here now in the XC90, sorry, in the XC60, yes. And the bad thing is, when you go for reverse, then we also see the reverse camera. And then to G-mode again, once, twice. You cannot go over the neutral or like pull further back or push further in the front and then it hops over. No, always 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And that's, I think, a little bit annoying. Here, the rear view camera, we can also see this is fake drone view from above, but we can also then pick different cameras, for example, the front view camera or then the rear view camera and so on. It's a very nice system. Last but not least, here I see the drive mode selector, different drive modes. You have to press it and then roll. That's also not too good to control while driving. And then open the armrests, and then there are 2 USB supplies, one for the connection to the phone with the infotainment system. And speaking of the infotainment system, here once more the camera. Here then, for example, the rear view, and the resolution is also quite good. So then on the top part, you can go to the settings, and then that you can swipe left, and then you can, for example, activate the headrest fold. I'll talk about that fun feature very soon. Or head-up display adjustments and so on. And here all of the assistance systems you could theoretically deactivate. On the right layer, then you can access the Apple CarPlay or the sound experience. And this is so cool. Here I always drive with the concert hall mode in the Bose & sound system. Studio is more coming from the front. Also with stage, for example, and concert hall is really like this surround. This is really very cool. And you already saw I can access Apple CarPlay here, or then also here in this main menu, which has the main stuff right here. No device can be paired with the system. I doubt that. Yeah, that's probably because I'm in flight mode. Ah, no, that's here the Bluetooth, and then here that the Apple CarPlay is appearing, and it really has a deep surround sound. Really cool stuff. So especially for electronic music or for classical music, that's really a way to go. You see here the Apple CarPlay integration. Then in this case, yeah, it goes here over the screen, and then you also have the other stuff, and then the GPS here. You can also make it full screen. Here we are, good to read. Responsiveness is somewhat okay, could be a little bit better. And for routing direction, it's okay, nothing fancy actually, but does the job. And here at the steering wheel, left side, then I control the cruise control, also the pilot assist, soon talking about that while driving. On the right side, I can activate the voice control, volume up and down, or also next song title. And here to control the gauges here, at least a little bit like for trip meter and stuff. And we can only see everything of the virtual instruments when we turn on the engine like this. Then we have right side RPM, left side speed, digital speed as well. In the middle part, some additional info like, you know, who doesn't have a seatbelt on at the moment, for example. Or you can also have some GPS information in there. That's also possible. And this head-up display will give me the speed or the allowed speed, and also some GPS arrows when we have a route set. Now getting to the rear, actually the inside of the doors is it's not super soft, but as soft as in the very front part, so I think it's soft enough. Bright fabric inserts. Legroom wise here, I think it's quite good. I mean, we have enough space here, definitely for 4 tall adults. The rear bench folds a little bit downwards. If you compare, by the way, the Volvo XC40, that's better as for, you know, this exterior-interior relation, so we have as much legroom as in the XC40 here. The difference is here the XC60 has a longer trunk. That's the main difference. Then headroom here, I have to put that head restraint up again. Headroom here gets pretty close, but still okay. You would have more if you leave out the panoramic roof. But then from the rear, you have a great view too. The panoramic roof, definitely. We have a separate climate unit here for the rear if you like. Then special features also for the outside seats. We have ISOFIX, but then also here this integrated child seat, so to say. You can put it up like this, so that's a very good idea. You do flip the seats from here actually, and then what's quite interesting is that the head restraints here, they fall down automatically. And you can also release them from the infotainment system here, these head restraints, that you can have a better look than from the front to the rear. But there's no sensor inbuilt that it doesn't go down when someone's sitting there. We tested it out. It's an old running gag at Autogefühl, and yeah, I was quite hit at the head by that. So Michelle and I tested it out quite some time ago. Then here, armrest. You can put out a ski hatch here as well. Cup holders, they're quite large and also somewhat adaptive here with these rubber lips. And in the middle console here also we have a full power supply. So what about that trunk area? Let's take a look at that. Electric tailgate. Also put some luggage inside. You can see the dimensions right there. And the length here is about 1 meter, and the width is actually way more than 1 meter. So that's excellent. So this is here, I mean in the lowest part not, but in the upper part it's like 1 meter and 15. That's really decent. Below this cover here, it's about 50 centimeters, so you can also fit it in a vertical way, for example. The only thing here is, this is absolutely manual, and also this upper position here, yeah, it would be too good if that flips up automatically and then closes again. Recently had it, for example, in the Audi A6 Avant or Estate, but here it's all manual, so sometimes I forget and it leaves open like this. So, I mean, this car here, with all the extras included, as we have standing here now, almost 80,000 euros, and then it's not possible to have this one here now with a little help. That's a little disappointing. And also when we want to flip the seats here, nothing we can really do. Have to go around for that. Here we go. Then these the head restraints also flip. And this in a 1/3, 2/3 split. You can also use that ski hatch if you like. And the final lengthen here to the front seat is about 1.80 meters. And by the way, you can also put that one not in the highest position, but save it that doesn't go up too far, for example in the basement garage. So here this would be the maximum top position and child safety test. Yeah, well done. Welcome to Thomas's Driving Lounge with the Volvo XC60, our design, optional air suspension, B5 petrol, so it's a turbo petrol engine, B5 with the new mild hybrid, new MHEV system, in this case the 250 horsepower version. So, what about that one? What do you realize what's different from the usual petrol so far? Well, the first thing I could notice is when you're running towards the traffic light and you're already very, very slow, so like there's like 2 seconds before you come into a full stop, then the car already shuts down the engine and is relying on this mild hybrid system on the battery. And there's not a huge battery in these mild hybrid systems, but that way the stop-start function can react or be activated a little bit earlier. And that, in the long run, might be then something for fuel saving. I also see a small battery symbol here in the digital instruments, and when I actually lift the throttle and then go on the brakes, not necessarily when I lift the throttle and the car's just rolling because it's more efficient, but when I do, there's an XC60 in this beige tone, what's it called, luminous sand. At least it was called that way in the XC90, not sure how is it also called that way in the XC60. Oh, there's a nice E30 convertible behind us. Yeah, I'm always commenting also on other cars I see when reviewing a car. So I can see actually when some recuperation is happening, and that energy is then, for example, being used again for electric consumers and also for, for this buffer, basically for a little bit, helping the combustion engine and also turning it off earlier, for example, than in this stop-start situations. If this will have a big effect on the fuel economy, we'll tell you at the end of the review when we have been driving a little bit further. In general, there was a big problem with Volvo that especially their petrol engines were consuming too much fuel. So that could be a step forward. We'll find out. Then about the XC60, it's a good compromise because it's not too large on the exterior, but already on the interior we have a good upright, full SUV size feeling in the mid-size SUV segment. At Volvo, the case is that the XC40 comes very close because it is really high for a small SUV segment, where, for example, there is a bigger step between the Mercedes GLC and the Mercedes GLA. Here, between the XC60 and the XC40, they don't feel too different, actually. Again, that's just because the XC40 feels so big SUV-ish already because it's really high. I think that's actually quite good. However, here in the XC60, of course, a little bit, calmer when running straight, longer wheelbase, you have a little bit more trunk available, and so on and so on. But of course, the XC40 would be the better price performance and the better package. However, here in the XC60, you always have a good, comfortable ride, again with the good seating position and so on. The steering is rather dead, let's take it that way. So it's completely artificial. It's easy to steer, yes, but it doesn't convey a good feeling of what you're doing on the road. When you're in the driving modes, at the moment in this eco drive, there's comfort, dynamic, and there's also off-road at slow speeds to pump up the air suspension. Dynamic mode here gives a little bit more resistance, but still, it doesn't really change the characteristic of the car. So steering feeling, and therefore also then connect the felt agility is not that good. It's also not the focus of this vehicle. It's supposed to be comfortable. If you compare this air suspension here with an air suspension, for example, in the Mercedes GLC, The GLC one is more floating-like, softer, more comfortable, definitely. If you compare it to one in the Audi Q5, Audi more seeks the compromise between comfort and sportiness. You could rather compare that, but you feel that the air suspension they have here is a little bit worse. So it's overall, nice and okay and so on, but it's not that you will say, oh, it's the best air suspension I've been ridden in this very segment. For an air suspension, I'm actually even a little bit disappointed, so to say. It also reacts then a little bit on the driving modes, but still, in this eco or comfort mode, should be a little bit better, definitely. So now we're heading on to the motorway slowly and give you a different aspect about that vehicle. Sometimes, getting even a little bit rough, although we have the air suspension. And however, it's the same also when you go with the other suspensions. But I'm not really sure if it's then so worth it to go for that one in this vehicle here. The overview is very good. I like that frameless rear mirror, back mirror there, good overview to the rear, also the front and the side. It doesn't have like a super design-oriented building form on the exterior, and that gives us a good overview from the interior to the outside. I really like that. And overall gives me also a calm feeling. That's also what Volvo is famous for. You relax, you don't feel like you need to race someone, and I think that's also the case by this recent discussion about the speed limit of 180 kilometers an hour. It's a German discussion only because nowhere else in the world are you allowed to drive that fast. And then even in Germany, like, when do you have the possibility to do that? Is it the motorway part where it's allowed? And also, like, then is it not full of traffic and so on? And then I don't know so many Volvo drivers who would say, like, I want to drive 220 kilometers an hour, like, for hours or so. So I don't think it's really a big issue for Volvo customers. I think just, some people are exaggerating the impact of that decision. I think it's, it's actually quite okay. 180 kilometers an hour is totally enough. And everyone else outside Germany is like, what is he talking about? Like, what's the discussion? Yeah, that's what I mean. Now getting to the dynamic mode. Let's see about the performance right there. And let's go. So that was about 55 to 85 something. You can see we do have enough power. Doesn't feel too powerful, however. Yeah, that's it. Also not too bad, but it's you all use these. Besides this one exception there in the XC40, everything is set on these 2-liter 4-cylinders, and also front-wheel drive, or like the overdrive, and then always front plus rear on demand. So it doesn't make too much of a difference here in this vehicle if you pick it front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. The smaller engines are just front-wheel drive, and the bigger ones, and or let's say middle ones, you can pick it. And the big ones then automatically come with all-wheel drive. And when I hit the throttle a little bit more, I feel that I also get pushed from the rear a little bit. Cruise control here on the left side, actually. And you can switch it out, if you have that option, to the pilot assist. And that would be then the, let's say, active lane keeping assist. So that not only the speed is being ruled, but also what is done, left and right. And let's see again. Set to 80 kilometers an hour. This would be the cruise control. See here, no intervention. And then let's put it, was it Brabus Mercedes GV? Yeah. So let's put it to the pilot assist and see. Yeah, you see, I'm not doing the steering wheel at the moment. That's the car. So it does react here also to the construction side lanes. Oh, now it's tricky. Left lane yellow, right now that they didn't realize that. That's a tricky one. Left yellow, right white. Guess the car doesn't really know what to do then. But does it really react on colors? That's a tough question, right? Or is it colorblind? That's interesting. So, but the first step was done, but you see that the steering was really nervous in keeping the lane, And I'll try that again when the yellow lines are gone and we're having just the standard wide lines and a little bit wider, like the standard motorway situation, and see how that one plays out. Noise insulation here at about 80 kilometers an hour, so like 50 miles an hour. Still quite decent. And again, I like that this car is giving me this very calm feeling. Thomas, relax, everything's going to be good. Those guys in Sweden will take care of you. Just drive. So, going to the right lane. There's the blind spot monitor integrated in these side mirrors in a very nice way, but there's no traffic here today. It's also a good thing, so no one's overtaking us at the moment. So let's put here to 100 kilometers an hour. And let's see. Pilot assist. Steering wheel is green as a symbol. I see that in the instruments and also in the head-up display. And now, I'm not steering, just let the car do the stuff. Of course, holding on to steering because that's mandatory. And now here, outside the concession lanes, it's actually better. Not too nervous now from steering wheel. Yeah, I think that's well done now. So, like that pilot assist, that can be quite relaxing then on a longer ride and so on. Yeah, I think happy with that. So, now getting off the motorway until we get on again, because I want to show you one more, performance acceleration. What is this engine able to perform? And then we also drive a little bit faster. See how about the noise insulation there. And no, we won't go faster than 180 kilometers an hour, and in this case we also can't. Yeah. It's one very, very rare time. Yeah, and the Mazda MX-30, the new electric vehicle, that one could not drive that fast either, actually. So, interesting. I think you can open the sunblind here as well, right? Then I have a little more light in my face. So now, dynamic mode. Let's go to dynamic mode and let's accelerate from 50 kilometers an hour. Let's see. I have to wait a little bit. No. Let's go. That's 150 kilometers an hour. That shall be enough for this vehicle. It's no race vehicle, and here at about 150, I think it's still reasonably silent, so satisfied with that. And now let's drop it down to a more reasonable motorway speed, and that would be about 130 kilometers an hour. That's about 80 miles an hour, and I think that's, totally acceptable. Don't have to raise my voice that much. Not the most silent vehicle in this segment, but also not super loud. There's a nice 718 Boxster right here. Driving this open top is really cool. Not too much fun on the motorway though, more on countryside roads and so on. Probably you've already seen the blind spot monitor, and now I'll induce that once more with that Mini that's going to overtake us. Seen our Mini John Cooper Works GP review, by the way? There it is. Blind spot monitor. Very nice integration, like in this swing, like this almost like boomerang style. I think it's really good. Good fitting in the brakes as well. So, and consumption-wise, of course, now I did like the big acceleration, so I'll reset it once more now, because I always like to state like a minimum consumption and a maximum consumption, so that you can also have a feeling for the for the span, and usually then the truth in the middle, or you at least know then like what the car is capable of to have as a consumption for a minimum. Now we're heading down into a tunnel, and you can see also how the car looks like at night from the interior. Here we are. There's no special ambient lighting here. That would have been cool, definitely. You see screen and digital instruments mainly. From that engine sound, by the way, it's so next to the general good noise insulation, I think the engine itself doesn't sound too good. Sometimes a little bit aggravated or something. Really like the first time I started now again. I didn't drive the XC60 for quite a long time now. I thought oh wait a minute, I have to check that it's really not the diesel. I get checked in like the like the RPM, or look under the hood, or check the papers. Is that the diesel? Because I mean, really, like this petrol sound a little bit awkward diesel-like, you know. It's not the diesel. It's definitely not the diesel here, you know. So yeah, but that's also one thing with these new B namings. Again, told you earlier, the B can be a petrol and a diesel. It's like, why? Why would you do that? Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes strange decisions, definitely by the car manufacturers, but that's the way it is. So we're getting off the motorway here once again, and I think, yeah, just again quite relaxed. As for the seats here, by the way, longer term, you know, aside from the aesthetical aspect here with the R-designed seats, I would also comfort-wise go, if that's possible in your market, it should be in most markets, for the, like, let's say either the base seat or then like the Momentum Pro seat. It's definitely more comfortable a long-term run, especially like the combination then with the city phase seats, because the seat form is somehow also more suitable for, you know, for a taller body. I mean, some might argue like sports is better for me or something. It can be. I just can state what's like the best for me, and definitely feeling more comfortable in the other seats. The you know, the standard comfort seats, to me, they're so comfortable that I would think like go miles and miles and miles. They're also quite decent here, but not as comfortable as the other ones. So yeah, just want to give that experience, because we always have the chance to drive then a couple of different versions and trims throughout the lifetime of a vehicle, and then we can also pass that on to you. So what did we learn today? By the way, very important to talk about that. These here are 21-inch wheels. And this is surely also one of the reasons why I criticize the comfort here of this vehicle today. So, if you want more comfort in this car, then don't pick, I mean, never go for the 22-inch wheel in this vehicle. Don't do it. 21-inch, I think, I mean, looks definitely cool, but still too big as for comfort features. Sometimes we have it that the air suspension evens that effect out. It's not the case here. So if you really want to feel that air suspension, you need a combination at least 18-inch wheels. You know, and if you, I think so, you know. So yeah, 18 might look then too small for some. 20 might still work. Shall we take a compromise? 19? Okay, that's fine for you. It's like, let's put 19 inch on the exterior. That should still look fine. And at the same time, we should have a little bit more comfort than, no matter which suspension we have actually you know, gone for. Once again, using the pilot assist, and you know, the good thing here is also that you can pick it at the steering wheel left side quite easily. So if you at some point, like there's a road where you say like, that's really annoying, don't want to have that side assist, let's put that out. It's no problem. Just like one click here with the left thumb, you don't have to search deep in the menu right there. That's it, and then you have the normal cruise control and just steer yourself. I think that's also a quite good solution. About adjusting the speed here while driving, actually, yeah, you know, it is possible, but I always have to look at it. Then again, probably makes sense to use the voice control for that. Set temperature to 21 degrees.
Temperature set to 21 degrees.
Yeah, so that would be one possibility, to just look ahead and use the voice control to control that. At least we do have that. And guys, I'm really surprised. I mean, that's really good what we have here so far. I mean, even if I like zeroed out the consumption meter, I could hardly get a Volvo petrol engine like below. I really had to work it to get it like one digit figure, like maybe 9 liters on 1 kilometers. Quite often it was about 10 or something. And I did the first test like this morning already, and now like a second one again. And when we're not flooring it out, when we want to score the minimum consumption, we can now indeed reach about 7 liters on 100 kilometers. And I think that's actually quite decent, especially because we had some situations where we rolled a little bit and then the recuperation set in and so on. So sometimes MF systems seem to work, sometimes they don't work that well. In this case here, I think we definitely have a step forward with this MF system. Nice, nice. And now to our conclusion for today with the Volvo XC60 B5, the MHEV system here in this petrol engine. Our design definitely looks very fancy from the exterior. In general, the design of the XC60 is very likable. The outer design, of course, adds a sporty feature. However, the best option to go for is just Momentum or Momentum Pro, if that's available in your market, because it's the best price-performance ratio here. The outer design gets really expensive, and on the inside then even more animal skin use for the outer design. So if you're in a market where you can get the fabric leatherette mix or the city weave seats, then you should go for that. As for engines, really interesting here because indeed the MHEV system does work. So far we had like consumptions of about 9 liters on 100 kilometers, 26 mpg, 31 mpg UK. Now we're here at about 7 liters on 100 kilometers for about 34 mpg US, 41 mpg UK, and that's definitely a big improvement. You can really use this recuperation, it seems. And as for the comfort in the riding, the wheel choice really matters here with the 21-inch wheels that really reduce the comfort, and we couldn't really profit from this nice air suspension. So 20-inch max I would really go, better 19-inch. That's still, I think, the best compromise between the looks and the comfort. If you want even more comfort, then you can go even smaller, maybe with 18-inch. This here is the Genesis GV70 mid-size premium SUV from Hyundai's premium brand. Well, can it be one of the best mid-size SUVs overall? Let's find out. Thomas and Autogefühl, let's go. Once again, a very strong design by Genesis here in the front. This one is the Sport line with black accentuations in the lower part and also a darker frame around the grille. We'll also soon compare the luxury line, and this matte paint here is called Melbourne Grey Matte. So greetings to all our Aussies down under. And the LED lamps, slim integrated here, modern daytime running light. I think design-wise already very well done in the front. And here we have the other color for you, a white vehicle, of course, more color choice available. And this one is also the luxury line. That means more chrome accentuations here, upper and lower part. The length is at 4.72 m or 186 inches, and these here are 19-inch wheels minimum. Maximum goes up to 21-inch wheels. We'll soon check it out with the other car. Once again, a cool styling here for the matte paint. ECS, electronically controlled suspension, is standard, so these are the adaptive dampers. An interesting design clue is right here at the C-pillar, kind of standing upright. More reminds me of a Mercedes GLC, doesn't it? And then we have this separated window here in the rear. And clearly when you go for a white color, this third window there in the rear becomes just more obvious. But it looks a little bit weird, doesn't it? And there it is, the white vehicle, which kind of looks completely different than the darker one from the side profile. Don't you think so as well? And here then the 21-inch wheels, really massive here for that mid-size SUV segment. And in any case, wheel arches painted in vehicle color. The luxury line here in the rear, definitely a sport look and really modern here with the flat integration of the rear lamps. How it looks like down there, yes, we have chrome in the luxury line, but this is also more about which engine do you have. This one here equipped with a diesel, and there is no exhaust pipe whatsoever. It's just really the rear one underneath, but I think that brings a really clean design. Design here for the sport line and petrol engine. You can see here this part, is a little bit more accentuated than with this, checkered structure. And then, well, Autogefühl fake exhaust alloy is present right here because the real exhaust on the inside, the outer tips are fake. Well, the air does go through, but still a case for the Autogefühl fake exhaust police. Otherwise, the rear design is really cool, I think. By the way, some more colors. This one here is called burgundy, so a very, very dark red. Oh, and what about the strong red one? They really have a nice red exterior color, don't they? And turning indicators, we know it from Genesis already. They're really cool, both hazard lights and turning indicators with this double LED scheme here in the two stripes. That doesn't count for the GV70 in the rear here though, because they are then placed in the lower part. Well, it has a reason. Because when you open that hatch, then they would otherwise disappear. Well, but the German eye discovered this one here, the Spaltmaße, the panel gaps, and look at that here. Not really happy with, you know, how the hood is being bent here in the front, so this is kind of like too big, the gap. And then also, secondary part, what is this here? You know, this overlapping hood here in the front. Not sure why they did that in this exact kind of way. Luxury line interior. Here it becomes obvious why you should go for the sport line in this case if we decide between these two. Look at that steering wheel. We know it from the bigger models. It just looks too traditional, too old school, I think. Here and also with animal skin seats. There in the base model you can get a beige or black leatherette, so they covered this one definitely, but it will be even more interesting in the sport line to come. And there we go. This steering wheel looks way more likable. Sporty design, somewhat similar as we know from the G70. However, there's one big change here. There are still real buttons in the steering wheel, glad we have them, but then also some capacitive buttons, but at least it's not all capacitive, so they found still a good mix. And then this would be the other alternative to the pure leatherette seats. They are available, these ones here in the sport line. A mix of fabric right here and then leatherette right there. So according to the information, also animal free, and they are more breathable than, of course, if there's a fabric share. So these are then indeed also seats to go for. Pretty cool. But let's not forget the car key. Also here with this remote parking function, by the way, soon more to that. And then the door closing sound. Yeah, quite nice. But yeah, beep, 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 beep. Inside of the doors, here, soft touch. Good look, also contrast stitches, and also nice quality here from the buttons and so on. So this looks all really good, and also how everything is processed, and also the, you know, all the panel gaps here on the inside, really superb. When I shut down the ignition, steering wheel comes up, seat moves backward. When I activate the ignition, steering wheel comes down, seat comes forward, and yeah, of course the quite obvious beep, 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 something. We know it. Yeah, it's actually a very nice seating position. You have a lot of room around you, and you don't feel like the huge difference to the bigger GV80. So this one here already feels quite sophisticated. I've also driven the G70, the sedan, the, you know, sister model to this one here, and I found that the difference G70 to G80 is way larger than here GV70 to GV80. Quite interesting, isn't it? So good seating position, nice fabric seats, breathable. One means a 6.1, enough space left. So far, good. Here the interior overview. You can see a very clean design, especially here then. Leatherette dashboard, and then this 14.5-inch widescreen taken from a G80 or a GV80. So this is a major difference also if you compare the sedan brother, the G70 here, to the GV70 SUV, where the sedan gets the smaller screen. And here also some more updates. This here, this area, more modern. Looks really cool design, and I'm really glad they kept the temperature dials here in a manual way. Just the vent strength has to be controlled by the screen, but yeah, I can live with that as long as this one here is still there. So this is kind of like a mix of traditional and modern, I would say. And you still have hard hotkeys here, for example, to access the map. There's also a very interesting screensaver here, of course, and you also have a lower home button to access the main menu there again. Again, the steering wheel perforated at the sides, and then you can still also have these hard keys here, capacitive button to activate the cruise control, for example. Soon also to these three-dimensional instruments a little bit more. Head-up displays available. And here in the lower part, yeah, we can see here, it's an interesting cubby hole, but for the smartphone, but goes really deep in there, so you really have to bury out your smartphone there always. And this is also a very interesting part right here, because you remember in the GV80 or in the G80, this one here is this one is completely shallow. You can only do like the DJ, and now they switched it to a real knob here. You can actually like used like this, and this is way more practical, so much easier to cruise through the menu. It was said before that maybe you can mistake then the shifting lever. Here they are shifting, it's not a shifting lever, it's shifting knob with that one, but I think no, because this one is just so much more here and you just use it once or twice, and this one then is also a little bit higher and it feels differently. So I don't think that I would mistake this one for that one. Would you? Cup holders are also adaptive, nicely done. And we have this middle armrest, could be a little bit better attached. Underneath, more space. And the digital instruments have a 3D effect, but you cannot see that on camera just with your own eyes. And then the middle contents can be changed. Then we have a head-up display, useful option. And yeah, these guys are cleaning a Thomas Blue Genesis G70. Check out that review as well. And by the way, another proof of quality, or how these gaps or how these contrast stitches are very well aligned. And then there's infotainment system, once again, so much easier to control it now from below and so much quicker. Again, a great screensaver, like where you have the transition to the map. However, the software itself, yeah, I mean, it's okay and also better than past ones. Still, you know, with this kind of hook thingy for the pinch and zoom, I don't know what they're thinking, why they are not finally removing that. Yeah, and then for example here, seat controls, you have some detailed settings right there if you don't want to do them by the seat themselves. There's a terrain mode available even, you know, yeah, but at the moment it's off, but nice visualizations here for the vehicle. I can also start the car and show you more about that. Here we go, then you have even better visualization of that, and we also have these degree angles and so on. And then the CarPlay integration looks like this. And you still have a map then on the right, but because it's so much widescreen actually. And let's listen to that sound system. Yeah, very clear. In the rear, there's also this leatherette cover for the rear door here as well. And then there's also an advantage if you compare now the G70 sedan. Here you have more legroom because you sit more upright. This exactly fits then. Also headroom wise, no problem. There's a nice hanger here also for your jackets. However, if you compare to other SUVs in this segment, it's not the most, not the most plentiful legroom here there is, but it's actually okay. Then the back part of the seat can be adjusted more upright or more to the back. Oh, like really like a sleeping position. Goodbye. So that goes really far. There is a huge middle tunnel here, however, so moving in the back here is quite complicated. In the middle part you sit quite upright, also gets close with the knees, so rather 4 tall adults, and the 5th tall adult is maybe like just for short term. Nice rear climate unit here as well, and also 2 USB-A chargers actually. And then in the middle part we have cup holders. They are not adaptive though. The trunk opens here like in the Porsche Macan, and 540 up to 1,680 liters. That's not too much actually, because it's not that high. However, you have an even loading still. The length here of the trunk is 96 centimeters or about 37 inches, and the total height right here 28 inches or 72 centimeters. The width between the wheel arches is very interesting. Yeah, it's definitely a good meter or 40 inches, and you can see here a backpack also fits here. And well, underneath the cover, the thing is, when it fits like this, it's being kept tight, but this like, a little bit wobbly. That's the disadvantage to that, but then you can keep things tight with that. So there's pro and con to that, definitely. But even more interesting is, of course, when we take it out completely, and there's something which is, created in a very nice solution here, because here in the front, first of all, listen to that carefully, click. So this one is kind of secured with a click, but when it's open, you can remove the side pads here, and then there's actually really space to store that rear cover. So here we go, change it now, see. Works. And then we can fold the seats from here. That's also quite practical. 1/3, 2/3 split, and indeed folds very directly. And when we then measure the length to the driving seats, it's almost 180 in meters. That means some 70 inches. Overall well usable. And one of my favorite features when you approach the vehicle, This functionality was introduced with the previous generation Hyundai Tucson. Here, you just wait a little bit, it beeps, and then it automatically opens without you needing to make a foot kick or something. And it's really practical when you have heavy items in your hand, and opens quite, fairly wide. I can stand underneath it with one of the A6 or 6.1 and child safety test. Let's see. Yeah, also proven. And of course, beep, beep, beep. And now to that remote parking function. So even if the car is already closed, you always have to hit the close button again, and then directly after that, the right one in the top. Then, you maybe heard it, the car has started. And then let's just imagine it's like in a very tight parking spot. You can move it actually with the key. Okay, there we go. I had to be a little bit closer to the vehicle. And now it's rolling forward. See here, when I'm getting too far away, it automatically stops, so I have to be closer. Come on, here we go. Come on, buddy. Yes, good boy, and not goodbye. Yeah, good boy, from good boy to goodbye now. Also works here, reverse, by the way. The GV70 gets the more modern engines than the sedan brother, the G70, here with more displacement. So that's an interesting trend. 2.5 liter 4-cylinder turbo engine with 250 or 300 horsepower in this spec, then here 6.1 seconds in the acceleration, or the 3.5 liter V6 and with 380 horsepower and 5.1 seconds, so a second faster, and then there's also a 2.2 liter diesel. Oh, look at that, these firefighters having a great time with their vintage vehicle. Obviously taking some photo. So let's go here, Thomas's driving lounge with the Genesis GV70. This will be very interesting. Why? First of all, first time for me in this vehicle. Then, how is it rating against Mercedes GLC, Audi Q5, BMW X3 for example, and how does it rate against the bigger Genesis GV80 SUV, and also comparing it to the G70 sedan, the platform brother. So actually then 3 different very interesting aspects, and of course overall, how good is it, in this segment. And first I have to say, exterior wise, great styling, interior wise, good build quality, and also the user interface is still somewhat classic in a way that we can easily access a lot of the functions. And now driving wise, yeah, the platform itself feels quite agile and light. There's a big difference to the GV80 definitely, but the thing is that from the interior, from the perceived interior space, it doesn't feel so much smaller. This is a very interesting key finding for me here already. So when I compared really the G70 versus the G80, so mid-size sedan versus their big sedan, huge difference already from the interior, and also driving-wise, huge difference. But here then, the differences GV70 versus GV80 are not that large as you might expect. And this one here also has a lot of modern features, and of course has the same infotainment system, for example. This one has the more modern engines, the bigger engines, the more powerful engines. And yeah, in a way, of course, this one feels more agile than the bigger SUV. And also for an SUV, it feels quite agile. With their big vehicles, Genesis rather goes to a, very comfortable luxury approach here, and with their mid-size vehicle, they definitely feel sportier and more oriented in the sporty directions also if you compare it to the German competitors. So their G80 and GV80 more against Mercedes E-Class and Mercedes GLE, where I feel that this one here is rather against the Q5 or the BMW X3 from the basic philosophy. Cruise control set here at the steering wheel, and then I select here with the hard button. That is actually really cool. And let's see the lane keeping assist, if it's keeping me in the lane. Yeah, so far quite well. Now it's a little left bend and not too intrusive yet. blind spot monitors also with this vehicle. There's like a warning triangle. Let's see when that Volvo is overtaking us now. There we go. So there's a red triangle then in the side mirror, and then also get this acoustic warning if I hit the turning indicator. And by the way, when I hit the turning indicator, it feels so sophisticated when you put it down. That's really, really nice, really awesome. This engine here, you do feel that's just good to have a little bit more displacement. And if you compare this 2.5 liter against the 2 liter in the G70, so it's just, you know, more calm on the one hand. At the same time, it's also more powerful. And yeah, and that's of course a good thing. Noise insulation here so far, so good. 120 kilometers an hour, so like 70 miles an hour, typical motorway speed. And I don't have to raise my voice that much. It gives me a very comfortable and pleasing experience. Here, especially the fabric seats are so much more comfortable than the rather stiff, you know, surface from the animal skin. And yeah, so that is also a thing that adds to the comfort, definitely. And agile driving wise, doesn't shake up too much. So once again, doesn't lean too much into the corners and so on. Feels actually quite sporty. Steering feeling is rather direct. So let's see how natural it feels. Yeah, it could feel a little bit more natural. However, I think it's quite okay. And also I feel in the GV70 a little bit better than in the G70. Maybe they tuned that already. So I do feel quite one with the vehicle already. And oh, there's sensatec. Okay, that's a little bit smaller. But the thing is really, it's an easy vehicle to learn. You get in the vehicle and you immediately feel at home and you get along very well. So let's now accelerate from 90 kilometers an hour to what? Let's see. That's 120. And about that engine sound, by the way, you can also go to the main menu. And really glad to have this lower control unit because I don't want to, you know, put my fingers around that screen while driving. Now I set the cruise control. When I'm a little bit distracted, it's always definitely safer to do and go to settings. And then there's here active sound design, and let's put it to the enhanced mode. Let's listen to that. Yeah, that's interesting. So that's now like, whoa, are we in a V6 now? There's also a V6 available, but we're not in that one here. However, the 300 horsepower we have here definitely more than enough for this vehicle. But yeah, I feel also this feels a little bit better sound-wise than it does in the 2-liter 4-cylinder of the G70. You gotta check out that video. That was a little bit weird how that sound actuator was there. So yeah, maybe here put it to normal or minimized or something, and then I think it's absolutely fine. You're also in traffic on the motorway, feeling good. Overview, good view to the rear, also to the sides. And I really have to say, this is such a good package they're offering. So exterior-wise, they can easily keep up with the Germans. This is of course a matter of preference. Interior-wise, the build quality is great. Then they find something, you know, like a compromise of modern things and you know, still real buttons and things to use, and this is just so much better than like the way Mercedes is going now at the moment. So this one more like in the direction of where BMW has been heading, and this one here also feels so much more sophisticated. The suspension is really good, 19-inch wheels. I would also advise not to go for the 21-inch wheels or the 20-inch wheels. Stick with these one, they will deliver best comfort. So good compromise of comfort and sportiness. And I feel that also the suspension they use here is somehow better than in the bigger models, or if that, you know, reduced weight or something also plays a good role in that. So with the G80 and the GV80, I sometimes had like this push in the back, like when you're going over some uneven parts of the road, like, whoa, that was not feeling that sophisticated. It's definitely, from what we've seen from the interior and also here now driving wise, this is the best Genesis model at this moment. No doubt about that. It feels most sophisticated, it feels most modern, yet at the same time they've kept some of the elements We are happy that they kept them, you know, like the manual climate dials and so on. It feels really spacious on the inside. It's very comfortable here on the German motorway. Also long term, yet at the same time, it's so much more agile than their bigger models. So this model here for the Genesis lineup does it all. It is the best. I mean, compromise sounds so bad, but it takes the best of both worlds. You feel like you would be driving a big SUV without having the disadvantages of having like a super large SUV. By the way, here the top part of the windscreen has like a, you know, it's like a tinting or something. So and this transition then is really smooth. This blue is Thomas blue color of the windscreen, and therefore most of the time I don't even need to use the additional shield, and this really protects against the top part of the sun. Also a very clever detail, or a very clever feature. So they really paid attention to the details with that vehicle, and I just love that. Lane change here, by the way, feels very natural, and once again, I'm really happy with the steering here. I wasn't quite happy with the steering in the G70, but here obviously in the newer model, they worked more on that. Exactly what I told them with the G70 they should still update. Well, there's a facelift now for that, but obviously they, you know, forgot to put more effort in that. Let's also push that drive mode selector here and set to sport mode, and also enhance sound, and yeah, that just sounds more spectacular. And from, you know, like 90 kilometers an hour when we're already at speed, let's accelerate it out. .170 kilometers an hour. Yeah, good acceleration, very nicely done. That was very cool. And also here, super silent here at higher speeds, and also very stable. I feel this one is even more silent than the sedan version, which is, you know, not logical because it's the SUV and stands more against the wind. But once again, that proves the thing that this is here, yeah, kind of the most sophisticated Genesis vehicle. And to me, it feels even more silent, and also like the, you know, the bigger brothers. Yeah, they have this active noise cancellation, but you maybe know that I'm not such a fan of it. Here, by the way, augmented reality in the GPS display here. This is also pretty cool. So there I have, you know, like a better signal of like which lane should I really pick. There's the camera image, and together then it's showing me, okay, this is like, you know, the exit you need to take. Also very good feature. So yeah, definitely. Really, no matter what the price is, if you ask me at the moment, which Genesis vehicle would you pick? Overall, from all of them, haven't driven the all-electric one yet, like the G80 all-electric, which is coming. But so far, really have to say, the GV70, it will be. So, you know, there's gaps in the hood and this overlapping hood there in the front, which I could criticize, but here, by the way, once again, the cameras, when you hit the turning indicators, sees another blind spot feature, basically, from the side mirror cams. So yes, this hood overlapping, and yeah, the infotainment system software can always be better. Most of the time, probably you will end up using Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, but it looks at least cool, you know, especially, this is my favorite view of the infotainment system with that kind of screensaver mode, so to speak. But I really have to search for anything that is wrong with this vehicle. There's just hardly anything wrong with this vehicle. It drives very well, so well built. I'm really, really impressed. And I have to say, if we consider now Mercedes GLC, Audi Q5 and BMW X3, they are all excellent vehicles, no doubt. Volvo XC60, of course, as well. They're all very, very good. But this one here is definitely among the best premium mid-size vehicles, period. So, thumbs up here for the Genesis team. And also good for me personally, of course, that they have the leatherette seats in the base option, and they also offer these fabric seats here in the sport line, so they also learned more about that. So it will be very, very interesting if they can succeed on the European market. They are trying to attack the European market right now. They're already popular in the US, and in Europe it's so tough to compete against Audi, BMW, Mercedes in the premium segment. Will it work? If you then think about the pricing, So you can easily live with an entry model of this vehicle and it's already fully packed, almost, you know. There's always something you can pick more, but if you compare it then, you know, to the other offerings on the market, and you pay like 50k euros or something, and you're done. And you can easily save 10,000, 15,000 euros or something to a competitor which is, you know, similarly spec'd. So, and then it's not worse in any aspect or something, you know. So the price performance in the premium segment here is definitely unmatched. Fuel economy, you have to calculate with some 9 or 10 liters on 100 kilometers, so something below 30 mpg.
The Mercedes GLC still represents a sweet spot in their model portfolio as for luxury and comfort, while not being too long. The BMW X3 offers a very good all-rounder package and is especially popular in the US, where it's also built in Spartanburg. The facelift also brought new perforated sensatec seats, and it uses the best BMW infotainment system in my opinion, BMW OS7, and not the newest OS8, which is harder to control. The X3 offers the best driving fun while still being comfortable. Only the Porsche Macan is sportier, but also loses some comfort alongside them. Also, the BMW X3 offers the great BMW 6-cylinder engine, sporty and quite efficient as for the power ratio. Yeah, you see where this is going for me. The BMW X3 is indeed my favorite. However, they all come close for sure, so you should also compare the prices when you have concise offers. The Porsche Macan is too expensive in my opinion. The Audi Q5 has the best AC unit control. Yes, that can also be important, at least to me. The Q5 also offers a good all-rounder package, however the lack of animal skin alternatives is very weak with Audi here, especially in the Q5 though. The Volvo XC60 will soon offer for all engine versions that unique Android Automotive infotainment system, which we couldn't include in this review yet, but we've seen it already in other Volvo models. That's a new competitive feature and will be very good with voice input and the mapping for Google Maps and so on and so on. New to the comparison is for sure the Genesis GV70. It also offers a very good package, and these Koreans here can easily keep up with the build quality and also perform very well in driving. Just the suspension is better with the Germans indeed. But the Genesis GV70 definitely now belongs to this elite premium SUV group. If you get the clearly best price for one of the models, surely go for it, why not? None of these premium midsize SUVs are bad vehicles at all. For me, the best mix of driving fun, usability and comfort is with the X3. What do you think? And what's your favorite? Tell me in the comments.